It should be live now. Here we are. The Magnificent Seven. Well, we need to just check with our PR department and our backroom office. Ian, there's a backroom office. Are we beaming live on somewhere?
Hang on. How's it doing? Anything on D Live yet? Nothing on D Live yet, and on YouTube it's just buffering. Oh, hang on. It's come on YouTube, but it's buffering again now.
Oh,
still buffering on YouTube.
Still buffering on YouTube. Well, we'll have to maybe just hold that thought for a second. We might have to.
No, it's on YouTube now.
Oh, there we're on YouTube now. Mr. Borthwick's in low. He's already there. He's like
Andy Borthwick in the house.
He's like a bad smell. There you go.
Okay.
There he is.
What does Andy reckon? Andy, is it?
He must be on D Live. PR department and no, I can hear myself now with a bit of delay. So Mr. Borthwick must be on D Live because I think that's where he lives. Mr. Borthwick, are you on D Live? Are you on D Live?
No. You're fucking well just buffering on YouTube.
Is it on D Live?
It's the Tinnerweb, man.
We're on D Live now, but there's a big delay.
It stopped. Just cut it out.
Oh, and it stopped again now.
Oh, right.
D Live yet. YouTube is just buffering. Oh, hang on. It's come on YouTube, but it's buffering. Again now.
I'm going to check me back. I'm going to check me stats. I'm going to check me stats because there's not much we can do about it because bandwidth here. It says on here. Oh, it's red. It's red. It's got a bit of red going on here. It's got a bit of red going on here. It says we're going, but momentarily.
There's a red flag.
Right, we're going to have to go with it. We're going to have to go with it. Anyway, so let's get started. We might have a couple of guests join us later on, or your guests join us later on. So welcome this week.
It'll probably improve as we go on. I think it's just that first half hour.
Well, let me just hand up to Graham. Graham's got the con, and I'll go and see if I can make some adjustments at the back end.
Eric's going to sort his back passage out. Anyway, on a more critical note, Ian, my educated friend, what's the title tonight?
Well, strangely enough, yet again, for about the third week running, I'm on a Cornish beer, which this evening is Doom Bar.
Ah, you discussed that last week.
A very fine ale, which again is rather ironic, being I'm as far away from the brewing place of Doom Bar as you can possibly get and still be in the UK. But then that's globalism for you. I mean, you think I'll be indulging in some locally brewed Scottish beer, but go down to Tesco's or Morrison's or something, and the Cornish ale is considerably cheaper than the Scottish beer. So what can a man do? How about your good self, little fellow?
Well, tonight we are doing Hobgoblin.
Oh, fine choice.
In fact, Ian, I've done so many flip miles this week. I was nearer you on Thursday than I was me, if that makes sense. I could have dropped you a bottle of Nookie Browning. I mean, getting up your drive in my transporter truck might have been a bit of a challenge, but yeah, I was up at Inverness, north of Inverness and all over, so
it might have been a bit.
Miles on Thursday.
Yeah, you're right there.
So
anyway,
that should be.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Well, I'm drinking it. But he's probably already, you've already. We're not in the same room, by the way. So if I was to do that, that's not my bottle.
Cheers.
This is him in a completely different place. There you go. Hey. Because it would be.
Very good.
That's the long reach of the law. That's the long arm reach of the law. That.
So it's not a case of fact I couldn't go like cap. Oh, that's stuff. No.
Well, like that.
What are you two gentlemen been up to down there today?
That's actually my finger in my ear, not his. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Right. Anyway, so we're drinking this. We might. I think we might have to see about what band. Is the bandwidth improved? Ask the back office.
Right, hang on a minute.
You think? Look at you.
Improve.
I'll tell you what.
Ask what back office.
In your options.
Oh, it's yellow now.
She's washing up in a minute.
It's getting better.
It's getting better. We've got a bit more bandwidth now. It's into yellow.
Very good.
It's a problem with living in small places. Once we become multi-millionaires through this channel, and don't forget to subscribe. That's important. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on D-Line, follow. And if you're on YouTube, smash that bell. Smash the bell.
Smash the bell and ding the ding.
Smash the bell, ding the ding, and don't forget to give us a follow and a huge thumbs up. There you go. We've done all that bit now.
Very good. Well done. You're getting the hang of it.
I mean, we need a graphic. I'll produce a graphic at some point. We've got a graphic to show precisely.
Ding the ding and ding the dong.
Well, yeah, do that. Can you hear this fella? Can you hear this fella? Right.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
2 1 2 2.
Where you man?
They never get the 3, do they? They never get the 3. How come they never get the 3? It's like 1 2 2 1 2.
Don't you love a fish?
So we've got 2 viewers at the minute. That's all we've got. But anyway.
So both of them.
Probably. So what have you been up to this week then, Ian? Have you had all your children back? We shouldn't be talking about work, but we'll talk about you teachers. Have you had all your kids back to school?
No. It starts on Monday. That.
Ah.
So Monday will be the first day actually back in the place, which will be a wee bit strange. Although
I told you it was next Geordie.
Well, indeed, yeah. Well, you know how it is when in Rome, as they say.
No. What do they say?
Yes.
When in Rome, what? What do they say?
Well, I don't know. That's all they say. They just say when in Rome. Then it finishes there.
just stops there. When in Rome.
Indeed.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Okay.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, I have to say I'm particularly proud of myself because of this.
Is that a tickling stick?
Ah, no.
Is it a new bog brush?
It could be. I mean, if you were in the mood, I guess you could tickle your taint with it. If you wish to do that.
We didn't measure.
Didn't you?
Did you measure?
Speak for yourself.
Did you?
Yes.
You measured?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm not doing it now. Not live on D-Live or whatever. But I do happen to have a tape measure. We're gonna have. I mean, I don't know if this tape measure is long enough to go all the way to no shields.
That's a long tape measure, that man. That's pretty long.
My taint's about 4 miles. Oh, how far is it? Must be about. It must be.
Now listen, gentlemen. I want no cheating when you do this, because I shouldn't have told you beforehand that the greater the distance is, the more testosterone you have. But since I have,
are you going really on a deal? Are you asking your taint?
I must insist on no cheating. But since the pair of you are there, then you can measure each other. So give us a quick result.
I don't think so. No.
We're pretty good mates.
Oh, come on!
Not that close.
Don't be shy.
Because we're in what we call a business bubble. We're a business bubble. We're got a business bubble because we've been out trailering today.
I think you're being very shy. You mustn't be shy. I mean, I can distinctly remember on the night before my wedding, Graham and I shared a bed.
I can't remember that.
Remember that, Graham? Yep,
No,
I do. Yes. Unfortunately, I was so drunk that night that I only realised it when I woke up in the morning, and it was a bit of a surprise. But and you cooked me a very good breakfast as well, if I remember rightly. And you still managed to get me to the church on time.
Did you
Well
stay at
done.
mine?
Yes.
Well, obviously, if I cooked you breakfast, because it wouldn't have been in the hotel, would it? I vaguely
Indeed.
remember now. Did we have a few sherbets? I can't remember. I'm sure we did.
Yes, more than a few. Yes, yes. In fact, an unwise number, bearing in mind the severity of the proceedings the following day.
Well, you didn't
However.
pay in me cupboard like you did at the youth hostel, so good on you.
Indeed, yes.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
Anyway,
If you remember,
anyway,
conversation
this.
the other week.
so go on. What's the tickling stick for? Go on, now.
Oh, this
It's a taint measuring device.
is a piece of Douglas fir, and
Christmas
Douglas fir. Douglas, no. The Christmas trees are normally Norway spruce,
Yeah, it's true.
but I haven't got any Douglas firs growing on our land, and I would really like Douglas fir because Douglas fir, get this, even in this climate, Douglas firs can grow at 1.5 meters a year.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a minute. 1.5 meters a year. That's quite something.
Hold on. Wait. I need a bit of time to think about it. Hold on.
You're going to tell me what your thoughts are here, then, because there must be a reason behind this. Or you're going to build an encampment around your gaff.
So the thing is, despite all the trees we planted on our land, we haven't got any Douglas firs. So I'm thinking that I need to add some Douglas firs. But I was very impressed with myself being able to identify it, because the trouble is that the Douglas fir comes from the fir family, obviously, of which there are a large number of members, and they are all very, very similar. So I had to go into quite some detail in the textbook to identify it positively. And the positive identification, which is quite fascinating, this if you pull off one of its little leaves, if you want to call it, I mean, it's not really a needle, it's too soft to be a needle. But if you look at it, it's got 3 things that define it as a Douglas fir, only if all 3 of those things are there together, right? One is that it's round on the end. 2 is on the back of it, it's got 2 white stripes under the leaf. And 3rd, if you squeeze it, then you get this scent of fruity resin. And if you've got all 3 of those things, in fact, it's actually, I wish you could smell this.
Thanks for tuning into Country File. It's normally on the Sunday, but
if you can smell that,
yeah.
And that confirms it. It's definitely Douglas fir. So I was very pleased with myself that I was able to identify it positively as a Douglas fir. So there you go.
He looks not like John Craven, is he?
So can you plant that thing you've got in your hand there now, or have you just ragged that off a fir?
He's just shoved up his nose.
No, I'll need to go back and dig up some little ones.
You'll have to get the roots, won't you?
Yeah, but if you get little ones that are only about a foot tall or something, then that'll do nicely.
So are you going to go and put those all around your property and start a paintball business where everyone runs around and shoots each other up the backside?
Well, I never thought of that, but there's a possibility. Yeah,
before or after they measured the tint.
I've never actually been paintballing.
You've never been paintballing.
Never been paintballing.
That famous episode of Ant and Deck. They went paintballing.
That's probably one of the reasons why I've never been paintballing.
Ant and Deck have been paintballing because one of them got shot in the face.
Do you know what proper things like?
Hey? Well, yeah, but he took it off for some reason and he went, "Oh, didn't shoot," and he did, and he got shot in the face. I'm sure the viewers will tell us exactly what happened. All 4 or 5 of them, 3 of them. There's quite a few viewers.
So what have you 2 been up to then, down there together in sunny Durham?
We've been doing stuff with trailers. Because we've been trailermen. We're not trawlermen, we're trailermen. It's the trawlermen drag things. We drag trailers, they drag nets. We drag motorbikes out. And that's what we've been doing today. Dragging motorbikes.
You know what? I've always fancied signing up for 3 or 4 weeks to go off on an Arctic trawler just to experience what it must be like doing that. I've always fancied just trying it. I mean, it's not something I'd like to do permanently because it looks like fucking hard work and pretty miserable most of the time. But just to have experienced it, I would like to go and do that. Maybe one day I will.
Well, you better do it quickly before you You'll certainly get your taint frozen on that trip.
I caught a thing on TV in the other
I
night.
did.
No, it wasn't. It was YouTube when I was away in my box, and it was all about what had happened to the general cast of the crab guys, Deadly Catch.
Oh yeah.
Half of
All
them
right.
are
Yeah.
now in
That's the
jail.
American one, isn't it?
Yeah, half of them.
That,
Well, a lot of them are now dead, but the rest of them, including the younger members and the sons, half of them are banged up for drugs and violent crime. One of them got so smashed out of his brain, got done for drink driving. They're all flipping nutcases. They're all criminals.
obviously, it attracts a certain sort of person, a fast life history strategist, I would guess.
It was a very good program. I mean, it's been copied to death now. Whether it's all these things, be it ice road truckers or there's loads now, aren't there? I think they're all probably made in the same format. They might even be made by the same people.
Yeah.
But that is a pretty damn tough job, that like. And if you go over the side, well, that's it, isn't it?
Game over.
There was a Scottish version as well, wasn't there? That followed around about half a dozen.
Yeah,
Scottish
that
folks
was set in
out of
Peterhead.
Peterhead or something like that.
Well, they were all from Peterhead, where I was on Friday.
Yeah, I've been there.
You can't understand a word they say, mate. Okay.
I saw. Well, funnily enough, on the news, I saw there was a Peterhead skipper banged up today, and it is quite an interesting story.
Was that for
it
catching?
was a few months ago.
Yeah, was that for catching stuff you're not supposed to?
You know Shoreham by the Sea.
I do know Sean
on the south coast. Yep. He was coming out of Shoreham Harbour in his fishing boat. He's based in Aberdeen, this guy, but he'd been obviously down in the Channel doing his fishing. And he came out of Shoreham Harbour, banged it on autopilot, as you do, and he was doing, I don't know, whatever he was doing, but basically nobody was keeping watch. And about 4 miles outside of Shoreham Harbour, they ran over this little fishing boat with 4 guys that were day fishing in it with rods, and 3 of them were drowned. And the fishing boat never even realised that they'd run over them. I mean, as you wouldn't, it's a big fishing boat. Anyway, they tracked him down, found out who it was, and he got sentenced today, and he got 12 months jail for that, which is interesting.
Well, technically, he didn't kill him. The water did.
A triple homicide, 12 months.
Well, the actual crime, if I remember rightly, is because you know how when you're at sea you're supposed to keep a watch all the time, and obviously he wasn't. But then to be fair to the guy, with modern autopilots and chart plotters and things like that, so many of the commercial boats now don't bother keeping watches like they should do. So he just got a bit unlucky, really. But it's interesting, to consider, the justice in the system there. Did he or did he not deserve that 12 months? I mean, obviously he didn't intend to kill anybody; it was completely accidental. But nonetheless, 3 people died. So I don't know. What do you reckon? Does he deserve it? Does he deserve more? Does he deserve less?
I mean, they always, he's a big, powerful boat. So a little fishing boat would make. I mean, if they should be having a watch on as well. I mean, I guess they're all bloody fishing, but they should be able to think that bloke's not seen us. Because I remember paddling back in sea kayaks from Isle of Wight, and there was about 4 or 5 of us in the water, all brightly day-glowed yellow boats, selkies paddling back, little strobes on. It was just starting to get dusk, but the strobes were on. LED lights on the boats. You had all sorts to get on, but the big hovercraft came out of Southampton, and it was coming straight for us. Like, there's no way was he gonna. You hadn't seen us at all. You could see he was just coming straight. We were in his path. And we're on the VHS radio trying to get contact with this guy, and he wasn't paying any attention.
Don't panic.
And we got contact with Gosport and Shoreham Inshore Lifeboat Rescue Station, and they said, "Well, we can see you." I said, "Well, any chance of getting through this bloody hovercraft because he's coming straight for us?" And the young lad that was with him at the time said, "Would it hurt?" I said, "Well, technically not. It's just compressed air, but I still didn't want to be hit by one. But it's technical cop size. Let it go to the top and roll back up again. We'll be fine." He says, "Is that what we're going to do?" I said, "Well, that's what I made. I've no choice but to do." And literally about 10 yards from us, he veered off, just missing us ever so slightly, just enough to kind of get a little bit of back. Maybe about 50 yards off us, just moved away. And I was a bit panicky, thinking I'm going to get hit by a hovercraft, and they're not small, they're huge.
Indeed.
It would wipe you out. Come on, it would wipe you out.
Oh, well, it wouldn't do any favours.
I mean, that big
No,
skirt, I mean, that's got to be pretty thick. If that's smacked you, that would knock you.
Well,
that would kill you.
it was just compressed air, but it wouldn't probably be nice to be.
You've been watching too many Rambo movies, you.
Well,
I reckon what you need to do, Eric, I reckon your survival strategy in that situation would be to roll your kayak and just wait upside down until it had passed over you and then roll back up again.
I was a planner, so we just capsized, sit upside down, hoping that it didn't toss you around too much. You might go to the top of it, because no doubt you'll notice it'll just capsize back up again. But luckily, the guy lost Gosport and Firm got through to him and said, by the way, there's about 5 kayaks in front of you. All day glow bright yellow things. You might want to make evasive manoeuvre so you don't knock them over. I love the bow wave came off it now. So it came round, but it was interesting.
Yeah,
I don't want to be hit by hovercraft in boat. I don't know where the Georgia, there was Yorkshire came from.
I always remember many years ago, when, with my old mate Fat Graham, not this little Graham,
not
big Fat Graham,
not the one that's not
here.
Graham, no. Not this one.
No, not that one. He's not big enough or fat enough.
I'm getting there.
He's ugly enough.
We were sailing from Portsmouth over to France, over to Cherbourg, I think, and we left the Solent, and we went and sailed into Swanage Bay for the night. And the plan was we anchor in Swanage Bay for the night, and then we were going to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning so that we could get across in daylight, because this wee boat had no engine. And it was quite interesting, this wee boat, and this is relevant to the story, because it was a 26-foot folk boat, but it had been specially built so that it was completely decked in. Now, if I remember rightly, Graham, I don't think you ever saw this boat, because I had this one whilst you were in America. But it was completely decked in, so there was no cockpit at the back of the boat that you would normally sit in to steer it. All it had was a little opening, like a tank turret, that was about 18 inches wide, in the top of the boat, and you could poke your head out of that, and you used to steer it with a vertical whipstaff tiller that came up between your legs inside the boat.
Vertical whipstaff.
And all the sail controls were led back to this little hatch, so you never had to go on deck.
Yeah.
And that was the idea. You never went on deck at all. Only your head ever poked out. So whatever the weather was, you were nice and warm and sheltered and dry and all the rest of it. Anyway, there we were anchored in Swanage Harbour, and 4 o'clock we left. 4 o'clock in the morning we left Swanage Harbour, and it was back in. It would be about the mid 1990s, I guess, and it was when little handheld GPSs were first starting to appear. And Graham, he was a bit like you, Eric. He loved his gadgets. So he bought one of these little handheld GPSs, and I said to him when we left, he was on the first watch, and I said, right, I know you've got this little handheld GPS, your little gadget that you want to play with, but I said we're going to do the navigation the traditional way, just like we normally do as well. So every hour, I want you to take your log reading and your compass bearing, note it down the chart, and plot our position. And I went to bed for 4 hours. So I left him to it, and I woke up 4 hours later. And Graham was looking, he was really grumpy. He was shouting and bawling and whatnot. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, it's fucking GPS. He said, it stopped working. So he said, I threw it over the side. So I thought, okay. So I said, well, no worries. So what's our position on the chart then? And he said, oh, well, my little GPS was doing all the work, so I didn't bother marking the position on the chart. So I thought, fucking great. We have no idea where we are. So anyway, we're plodding across the channel there, just going on dead reckoning, my best guess as to where we might be. And we got about 10 miles off Cherbourg, sort of be about mid-afternoon, and this real pea super of a fog came down, the sort that you get in the English Channel on a hot summer's day. I mean, you couldn't see one end of the boat from the other. So there was no way we could get into Cherbourg in that fog when we didn't actually know exactly where we were. So it started to get dark, and the fog's still there. So I thought, right, we're just going to have to hang about wherever we were, going backwards and forwards all night until dawn, and hope that the fog lifts at some point and we can see the lights and maybe slide into Cherbourg. And of course, Cherbourg's a really, really busy port. There's ferries going backwards and forwards all night, you know, and fishing boats going in and out, and all sorts of things happening around us. And you could hear all these engines churning past us in the dark, you know, but you couldn't see a thing. So I had a chat to Graham. And I said, look, you know, we could be in a bit of trouble here because we haven't got an engine. The wind had gone light by this time, and if anything suddenly appears out of this fog, it's going to run us down before we've got a chance to get out of the way. So I said, you need to get your life jacket on, and you know, just make sure we're ready to abandon ship. So I was on watch. Graham was down below there, and he got to bed wearing his life jacket, which he'd inflated as well. Now Graham was a fairly stout fellow, and with his inflated life jacket on, he was obviously even more stout. And like I mentioned earlier, this little hole in the top of the hull, which was the only way in and out of the hull, was only 18 inches wide. So while he was lying in his bed there, I was looking down at him, and I thought, I'm going to get my revenge on you for fucking up our navigation. So I waited until he was deeply asleep, and I suddenly shouted down at him, Graham, we need to abandon ship. There's like a ferry that's about to hit us any second. And he came bolting out of his bed, shot up through the hatch, and jammed solid in the hatch with his life jacket stuck around it, and he couldn't move in and out. He was like a cork in a bottle, and I absolutely pissed myself laughing. And the funniest thing was he couldn't actually get to me either, because he was jammed so tightly his arms were pinned to his sides down below. And eventually I had to get him out by standing on his head and shoving him down.
Revenge is sweet on the high seas.
So how did you get out and manage to stand on his head if there was only one hook?
I was already out. It was quite a nice night by this time.
Right,
so I was sitting up on the deck with my feet dangling down the hull.
Do you not keep up, like?
So
do you not keep up?
I didn't realise he was on the deck when he shouted.
I was with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. There's a bit of delay factor from North Shields to Bishop Auckland, you know. So there's a bit of a delay factor.
6 inches.
It's understandable that some people, you know, just don't get it. I mean, you know, you can see the fact that they're completely different cameras, so therefore he's not in the same room as I am. But there you go.
I remember something else today, Ian. The phone started to ring again. I had to knock one job back because it just wasn't worth doing it.
Yeah. All right.
But we're going to get another one tomorrow. That's the plan.
Because what you need in the trailer business is you need umpteen trailers. And if you're watching this live on Tinterweb, don't forget to subscribe. This is all for the back office. Don't forget to subscribe. Smash the bell and ding the ding. Smash the bell. And watch and follow on D Live, and just do all the stuff to keep the woman in the background who's doing all the stuff in the background.
Or just send all your money to our new crowdfunding thing that we've set up.
Yeah, www.payusgeordies.com.
That's the one.
/ any time today, nothing less than 50 quid a time. Thanks very much.
Just tell your accountant it's a scam. You got scammed.
I've got. Is that Jay? Is that Jay? I think he wants to. Are you coming in for a pint, Jay? Are you coming in for a pint? Do you want a pint? You're going to come and join us in the bar. We've got Jay coming in, so here we go.
Had no microphone.
Oh, he just needs to position yourself in front of the camera, which would be handy. Oh, there you go. He's there now. Look.
Jay's is Jay in Australia.
You've got interference again, man, Jay. You've got interference, man.
Interference.
I've got interference on your microphone.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I know why that is.
I
know exactly why that is.
So you've got a. That's it. It's very sunny in Newcastle, isn't it?
Where are you, man?
Is that Newcastle?
Huh? Well, I think so.
Oh, he's obviously passed. He's obviously passed all the tests. He's a Geordie.
It's a Baltic tavern.
He's a proper Geordie.
Well, that's what I said.
I didn't know that.
Well, he's not. He's a southern bloke. This guy Jay, we've known each other for a few years now. With Jay.
Still friends.
Yeah.
Well, friends is loose anyway. So we'll just do the rounds. We've got Ian up there in Scotland. So this is Jay. Ian, say hello to
Jay. Okay. Nice to meet you.
All right, mate.
This is Graham in North Shields. He's in North Shields. He's not here.
I'm not in North Shields.
He's in North, because obviously it would be against lockdown
protocol
for him to be anywhere. So he's in North Shields, and I'm in Bishop Auckland.
Nice to meet you. Oh no, that.
And you're in Gateshead. What you drinking?
Oh, you've got a beer. What you got, Jay? What you got?
What you drinking?
Well, It should have been a Newcastle Brown, but I'm afraid it's the Shops Atlantic.
That'll do. I'm on the
Nice.
the Hobgoblin,
Would that be a
and
little
so
special?
and so's he.
Oh, very nice.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
nearly
not too
bought
bad.
Doombar. Hey, I missed that in because I was trying to sort my bang with it. I nearly bought Doombar today. I was in the
Yeah,
cup.
nearly
Third
bought
week
it.
in a row, I'm on a Cornish beer.
I beg your pardon?
Third week in a row, I'm on a Cornish beer.
Cornish beer.
Who makes this stuff anyway?
It's hot. It's Witchwood Breweries.
Witchwood. Every Witchwood.
Yeah, heathen, absolutely heathen. Not no Witchwood Breweries. So, how's your week been, Jay? Because have you got some small children, haven't you? Are they back to school now?
Yes, I've got small children, dogs, offspring, clients, lots of different things going on.
So your kids
Yeah,
go
it's
back to
been,
school. We're like, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Right.
kind of a nice relief, I think. Yeah.
I was dead
Just
chuffed. I was so chuffed to
yeah.
get my little girl back to school. But unfortunately, the saga continues of dealing with so much shite.
Yeah.
Puppy shite.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of puppy shite. So far, we've trained him to go on a little pad, because every time he goes another way on a little pad, little training pad, he gets a treat. But the little bugger's sussed it out now. He goes and drinks water on a regular basis, pisses on the pad, they get a treat. So he's an entrepreneurial pup. He's sussed
very
out.
But he's
good,
a collie, Eric.
Hey?
You need to realise he's smarter than you are.
Exactly, yeah. He's a border collie. They're not daft, then. They're not daft.
It's quite a chill little pup, actually. He's quite cool.
Oh, do you know? You're no shoes.
Well, I've been here. Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're not here. You're in no shoes.
You told me.
We've got the tape measure to prove it. Look, the tape measure doesn't lie. That tape measure
Hey,
says
look,
that you're
Eric,
at least.
Eric, we must be up to something, mate.
Well, have you not?
Everybody's measuring their taint.
Band of
going
Brothers.
on?
Band of Brothers.
Have you watched last week's show? Ian came up with this thing about your taint. Do you know what your taint is?
No.
Explain, Ian. Explain what a taint is and the relevance of it.
Right.
Ian's the Ian. Jay, Ian is the educated one amongst us. Forget about Eric. Ian is our educated friend. Carry on, Ian.
Yeah. I heard a bit about life jackets and stuff like that. What you do with the holes in the life jackets.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up, Jay. This is true. I mean, if you go online, you can find there are numerous scientific studies, genuine scientific studies that have been done on this, and umpteen reports you could read on it. But what it is a taint is the distance between the centre of your arsehole and the centre of your genitalia, depending on whether you're male or female, right? Now, the important thing is that there is a clear correlation between the size of your taint and how much testosterone you have, which basically is that the longer your taint, the more testosterone you have. And meta-analyses have shown that the smallest taints are amongst Northeast Asian women, because they're the most feminine, and the largest taints are amongst Black African men. So there you go. And we
song?
With
Tainted
what?
Love. Could be.
Tainted Love, yes.
I think they might be.
I remember that, yes.
I think that's probably what he's talking about. Tainted Love, because you
That's
obviously
very
like the big taint.
impressive.
He just sat on the fence too long and it stretched.
Yeah. I'll have to remember that, a taint. Yeah. One of my friends told me once that, sometimes you get girth on things. Well, there's something else which is like the internal girth, which is called both. And I think that's probably a made-up word.
Possibly.
No, bore's a real word.
Yeah. Is it a real word?
Yeah, that's I mean, you talk about, the bore of a pipe is the internal diameter of a pipe. So that's for sure. Yeah, but it's not interesting to taint.
So we're all roughly the same talking head size.
Can I just ring Eric?
You need to go and measure your taint, Jay.
Can I just ring Eric and say, can you turn it up a little bit? Because I can't really hear what's going on. Eric, hello, Eric.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, it's little Graham from North Shields.
All right, how are you doing, Graham?
I'm struggling to hear the volume of what's happening on this show tonight. Could you just turn it up a little bit,
Well,
please?
the issue is in the studio. If I've me speakers out too loud, it gets feedback on the Dewberry Firkin. You see, so I don't have it too loud.
Ah, right. So that's a no then. Get your coat. Right. Okay. Bye. Thanks.
So yeah. So let's just say I've been baptized.
You've been
Tainted.
baptized. So should you come on the program again, below your name will be your taint size. So we'll have the taint, because Ian's already got his. Go on, tell what yours was then. What did it measure then, Ian? You're going to
13.5 centimetres.
before we've all divulged ours. And how did you measure it?
13.5 centimetres.
Bollocks.
13.5 cent.
I'm sure that wasn't.
There's not that much distance in anybody human. Surely to God.
Was that the length of your forearm?
Okay, yeah, okay, little fella. I admit you may have caught me out there. I may have exaggerated a tad.
What about 12 inches?
But you know, if we're gonna get any groupies, then we've got to play it up a bit.
I was about to rename you Winston there for a moment. Being as black blokes have the biggest taint, you'd be well and truly away.
Indeed.
So there you go.
4.5 centimetres.
What is?
I don't know. I've measured mine here. I'm just guessing that's about normal.
4.5 centimetres. Right. Well, I'm not measuring mine.
You're probably right.
Sorry, Jay.
How do you actually measure it without making a mess of your tape measure? I mean, that's going to be quite hard, that, isn't it? You're going to have to gaffer tape some part of it on so that you can see and hold a mirror on the floor or something like that.
You can give us
you do it with a bit of string, Jay.
A bit of string.
Do it with a bit of string. Yeah. If you poke one end of the string up your arsehole and then hold it in with your finger and then draw the other end along until it's under your bollocks and then take it out and measure it with your tape measure. Or you can get somebody to do it for you.
Tip of the week, yeah. So finger in, yeah?
Yeah.
And
I'm just saying this because I tried to measure my height and I realized how difficult it was because you've got to make sure that the bottom of your tape measure is touching the ground. And when you're looking down, your head's down and you need your head up. So
yeah,
that was difficult.
Height, but what you do is you get your pen in that, right? Yeah. And you just
dry line,
and you do it on a wall, right? And then whatever that is, that's your height. Yeah.
Why did you need to measure yourself, Jay? Are you getting worried about getting old and shrinking or something?
I'm getting a new PVC suit.
Really?
All right.
Yeah. It's for canoodling.
You know we're live, just to let you know. I mean, there's a slight delay, but this is live.
Was the site something XXX something, was it? That you're buying this
for? It was for my canoeing, but I've ordered it from somewhere called FetLife.
Fetish line, aye, okay. Right on.
Yeah. Did it come with a full mask and a zip for the gob then or what?
Well, actually, yes, they've got a relief zip, and
really?
Apparently you get easier access to the taint.
Aye.
But yeah, you can check it out if you actually. It's called a Reed. Yeah, it's like Cellar Pets or something. PVC Cellar Pets with a nice relief zip, and very comfortable if you're canoeing. Very light, very cheap.
You've gone for a nice gay colour.
It'll go for black.
Well, funny enough, Jay, I was just saying the other week, Jay, that that I invested. I thought I was old enough that I deserved it, so I invested a few months ago in my first ever dry suit, also for canoeing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's changed my life. It is absolutely fantastic. But it has also got, as you described, a little relief zip in the front there, so you can have a wee out of it. Because I particularly found up here in the very, very far north, when you're kayaking in the winter, in the past I'd been wearing 2 wetsuits. And if you're suddenly caught short, you know, and you need a wee, and you hop out of your boat,
Yeah.
and you
You got to take
stand
your
up,
tag off.
gravity makes you want to go straight away, and like by the time you've peeled off your wetsuits, you've already pissed yourself. So so the idea of this dry suit with a wee zip across the front was fantastic, and oh man, I love it. What I like best of all about it is you could be wearing like even a dress or something underneath it, and you could just like peel it off and step out like James Bond. You know, it's fantastic. Yeah, and you don't come back from a day out kayaking with soggy underpants anymore. I just love it.
Does it keep your dick warmer? Because you know when you get into really really cold water, your dick shrivels up. So
not anymore. It doesn't. No, it keeps that nice and warm as well. The only bit that's exposed on me, because I've got a neoprene diver's hood on as well, so the only bit that's exposed is my face. So it's lovely.
You haven't got a neoprene. You haven't got one of those neoprene willy warmer things. Just for your.
I don't need one anymore.
Just for the moment.
I used to need one when I wore it. I used to need one with wetsuit, but I don't need one with a dry suit anymore. It's fantastic.
Oh, gimp mask, you know, like Jay's got, and you got, you know, the little zip across the mouth.
You check this now. It's like called thermoprene or something like that. It's like neoprene, but it's thinner and it's warm on the inside, and it's totally waterproof, breathable, and dry. So it's pretty good stuff. But you've got a dry suit, and dry suits are really, they can be really heavy sometimes, can't they? So I've just got rid of a dry suit. I sold it on eBay. I may have sold it to you.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting pairing, wouldn't it? So you read the dry suits and
the modern ones. The modern ones now that you buy for like from Palm and stuff like that, you know, they're light as anything. I mean, it's much lighter than wearing a wetsuit. They're absolutely. I mean, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It really has changed my life. It's fantastic.
I can see.
I didn't realize it was going to be such an emotional program. I mean, I didn't realize it's almost
really
bigger.
Quite handy for the old
tape measure. This is actually, Ian. This is bigger than Oprah.
No,
I mean, you should. This is you sitting on the program going, "It's changed my life. I mean, my life has been changed because of the dry suit." I mean, it's a bit hard to believe.
So what are the surfers used then? You know the guys like down at Tynemouth, they're always out there when the waves are up.
Wetsuits.
Or they're just wetsuits, or they're just freezing the nips off.
Oh, 6 mil.
Well, they have really thick ones. They normally wear like 6 millimeter ones, 6 or 7 millimeter ones sometimes. So I mean, it's not as nice as a dry suit, but you get more movement in them, you know.
We had the rather silly idea, which came about as a bit of a bet on Christmas Day a couple of years ago. We'd been around, and this was before all this COVID. I'm not supposed to use that word. This was before all this crap at the minute. And after we'd had a few sherbets, a bit of a family get-together with friends and whatnot, someone said, you know what we should do tomorrow? Because one of my sister's sons was doing a bit of a charity thing, and it was like the proper dip on Boxing Day morning. Well, it was bitter cold, as you can imagine. So after a couple of beers, you know, Dutch courage, we'll come down, we'll do it, and you can raise a bit more money for charity. And we did. And it took me 2 flipping days to recover, like. It was absolutely bitter.
It's the warmest.
It's
about 13 degrees that time of year.
I don't know. And I had my pink wetsuit on, and I was still ill.
No, see, 7 degrees to 13 degrees in the winter last summer. That was a good summer last summer. So about 13 degrees.
It was
you know what you can. This will impress you. You know what you can buy now. I don't know what. I get a lot of my water sports gear from a company called Lomo wetsuits that are based in Glasgow.
Ah, yes, I know Lomo very well. That's where I got
one of the things. That's right, yeah. One of the things that they sell, right, is a flesh-coloured wetsuit, so that you can wear a wetsuit but you look like you're naked. And I just really fancy getting one of those.
Well, so you fancy doing a bit of wetsuit streaking?
Well, I can just think of all sorts of interesting uses for it.
Could they not make it compulsory for the lovely young fit ladies to wear that colour?
Well, indeed, yes. I think that would be a splendid idea. Talking of which, do they still have I think it was on. It used to be on New Year's Day. At Druridge Bay, the naked swim.
Yeah, I think they still have that. Yeah.
Google it.
I never got to do that. You know, I always wanted to do, but I never got to do it. I was never able to persuade the missus. She didn't like swimming.
You got your own lock.
Speaking of Druridge Bay, did you see that documentary with it was Brian Johnson doing a tour of different singers around the world, and he was meeting up with Mark Knopfler on Tynemouth Beach, and yeah, they went to Whitley Bay together and looked at some of Mark Knopfler's lyrics written at the steps of the Spanish city.
Yeah.
And those two guys have been like all over the world, haven't they? And they were just in love with Tynemouth and Druridge Bay. They were just talking about it and just saying it's the best place on earth and stuff like that. I just thought that's quite outstanding, that, isn't it?
Be great to get one of those guys on the show.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson.
Come on, Brian.
He got a band the week before last. Well, Ian's
He did.
I played a bit of AC/DC on the big show, as we like to call it, a YouTube band of.
Well, go on, Eric. Now tell the truth. It was your own fault. You didn't follow my instructions, which was to sing the lyrics to Highway to Hell. You
said, if you had a chance to meet any band who you want to go and chat with or sing with or do whatever, who would it be? And I said AC/DC. I said, look, and I've got a bit here, and I put a bit of AC/DC on.
And I said, you sing it. I said,
you loved me at that event of putting AC/DC on.
Is that compliance? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, boss. Right. Cheers, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, so I thought we'd dress up like Geordies or something, but I don't have any Geordie hat. I was looking for my Geordie hat. I've got some Geordie denims. I've got my Wranglers on, really tight.
You got your Desperate Dan top on, Desperate Dan t-shirt.
Yeah.
You've got a very sunny day being you. What time's across there, Newcastle? It must be about 3 in the afternoon, is it?
It's always like this in Dunstan. So, yeah.
Jay, can you convince Eric to get a sexy backdrop like that for us? Can you not do that?
Huh?
With a Geordie backdrop?
Well, I can't be talking because we're not in the same place. But I can do that. I can do all of that. We're already in the pub. I've done a background of a pub.
I love the pub, man. I love the pub.
We can even intersperse with a bit of logo. Look at that. There you go.
I haven't heard anybody in the pub tonight.
And then we'll go back to the... Look, I'll even put the logo on for you.
Let's hear if there's anybody in the pub.
Let's hear the pub. Let's do a few pub noises. Here we go. A few pub noises. In fact, I'll tell you what, there's a few bottles going on here. Oh, the sound effects are muted. Look, I don't know. There's a few bottles. In fact, it's about time for that. And then, of course, there's yours and mine favourite, which is gotta be. Ian, shut the door.
You gotta get some more, man. You gotta get some more to get them bored.
Well, Jay like this one. Jay like this one. You ready? You ready for a party, Jay?
Okay, yeah.
That's Kenny's more style, that is. That's his style, that.
Yeah.
That's the old air horn. Jay like that. In fact, this is probably. And my favourite's got to be whenever Graham tells a joke. It's this normally followed closely by this.
That sounds very much like the start of the specials, Ghost Town.
Well, it's just a mere old tumbleweed.
We did discuss last.
Geordie's really grumpy, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm grumpy because I think last time I had a whinge about door handles. This week I'm whinging about the fact my daughter's gone back to school, which I love, right? Get back to doing some video and work online, this kind of stuff, right now. I'm really connecting with the camera. Don't forget, and also when I'm connecting with the camera, that if you're on YouTube, subscribe, smash the bell, do the thumbs up. If you're on D-Live, don't forget to follow. Because that keeps Rachel happy in the background. We do that sort of thing. But anyway, my daughter's gone back to school, which I love, right? And we've got this little border collie puppy, which I have to spend more time giving the energy to the puppy, and I can't do now at all. I can't work. You leave the little bugger for a few minutes to sleep. Next thing you want is rip the bloody rug apart. I left little presents and dollops all over the place. So that's what I'm grumping about this week.
I told you about my present.
Sorry, Jay.
Told you about my new present, my dog from my dog. Only had a few weeks.
Bulgarian dog.
Yeah, I was telling everybody it was a Metis. They're saying, what kind of breed is it? And I was going, oh, it's a Metis. You know, they come from Romania, they're exotic. These Metis dogs. And then I've just found out yesterday that Metis means cross. And it's like, it's an exotic Romanian sheepdog. But anyway, it got quite excited the first couple of days we had it. And I was saying, you've got to take the dog out. And my missus all the time, like, you've got to take the dog out like at this time. And we're going to do it this time. Otherwise, they're crap in the house. And she was like, just chill out. Everything will be fine. I'm off to work, so go outside and all that. I say, I'll leave you to it. See what happens. And I come back from me working shenanigans. Then come back to the house. And my daughter says, we've got news for you. And I was like, what's that news? And is it something to do with the dog? It's like, yep. She's done a poo, hasn't she? Yep. Where's she done a poo? Your side of the bed. Whereabouts on the bed? Your pillow. So the dog had literally just like ran in, crapped on my pillow, and then got off. And and dropped a few more after that. So that's all stopped.
How old is it like? How old is it? Is it still puppy type thing, is it?
It's say sort of 9 months. Sometimes it looks really old, then other times it looks like really, really young. It's a very strange dog. But it's clever. It's worked out not to poo on my pillow.
was that with encouragement?
Yeah.
Was that like
a
few choice words?
Do lots of tricks and things, but if it wants to ignore you, it will, and just go and just run off in the distance.
Well, as I say, I've trained my little puppy to go on a little training mat, which absorbs most liquids. But it's worked out now to drink lots of water. You go pee on the training mat and you get a treat. So it's now producing multiple peas for multiple treats. It's just that fact that if I go in there, you go, good boy, and give it a treat. So it's drinking more water and pissing more. Little bugger. Bizarre.
Amazing.
So they're quite clever.
So what do you think about the Ashington accent? I mean, all people from like Druridge Bay and Ashington, places like that.
It's a doog, innit?
Would you class them as Geordies?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's a nice doog. That's a nice doog you've got there.
The doog for a walk, wherever the doog is. No, I think if you go for the original Geordies, which if you go back to the Jacobites, when they were going down to defeat the English and they got as far as Newcastle, and men loyal to King George wouldn't let them in. So you kind of got to be born on Tyneside really to be a Geordie. That's what I would say. Tyneside, Geordie, that's it. To be loyal to King George.
I think it's a funny one though, because like people outside of the northeast will never understand the Ashington twang. Like how people from Ashington, coal mining town, north of Newcastle, how all the A's are pronounced E with a U on it as well, like Vale here. And it's such a strange accent, isn't it?
Well, I was up in Ashington one time doing a training course, and it was around at the same time. And it's not a conversation to have because they're a bit passionate about the mining up there. It was actually Margaret Thatcher's funeral day, and a conversation during the lunchtime got around to Margaret Thatcher, and I basically said, well, you know, in some respects you can't blame the woman, which didn't go down too well actually as a general comment, because mine I went, what do you mean? I said, well, to be honest, you weren't pulling coal out the ground cheaper if the Chinese were doing it cheaper. Therefore, it's not a viable business chucking coal out the ground when nobody's going to buy it. And he didn't kind of share my sort of very logical business ethic in this area. He more or less said, you don't know what you're talking about, she's ruined people's lives. I said, well, it's like any business. If you don't do it cost effectively and you don't pull coal out the ground enough and you can't sell it to anybody, you're not going to stay in business much longer anyway. But he did sort of like, generally not speak to me for the rest of the afternoon and give me very poor scores on the evaluation form. So I guess I should not have had that conversation.
You can get into trouble if you're from Ashington and you go down south or something, you start talking about feeling you're hornier. When you've got a medical problem.
Right.
Telling your wife you feel hornier. She'll understand it, but other people won't, you know what I mean?
How would they say taint then? I mean, I would taint be pronounced. Well, they not even know what a
A
taint
laird.
was.
A laird is a Scottish noble boy.
Laird.
A young laird. Bit of a
Yeah,
gerb.
good laird.
Eric, I think I may have to scoop because I've got a wireless mic and it's on the red. I didn't charge it, so I'll be going.
Oh, no.
Listen in.
Well, can I just say, Jay, it's been a pleasure to have you, lad. But you know where we are. We're in the flat cap, the virtual flat cap wicket every Saturday night. Unless, of course, we get barred from YouTube because of Ian getting forced me to play AC/DC. Apart from that, we normally have a good crack, and it's been nice for you to pop in. So next time you're a bit short on a Saturday, mind you, we might go to a real pub soon, mightn't we?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be any time soon, is it?
We could do the show from a real pub. We could live stream, as he's doing right now from Newcastle.
There'll be no bloody pubs left to go to anyway.
Well, we'll all be Witherspoons. Oh, we're getting political. Let's not get political. Witherspoons,
well, it's certainly been educational. That's all I can say.
Come again?
Instant rapport with Ian. Dry suits, wetsuits, neoprene. I love all that stuff. And release flaps.
If you want to go swim naked in Ian's lock, at least that way, he's close proximity to measure your taint. That's all I'm saying.
Just
so,
when you
Jay,
go to bed,
when you go to bed
tonight, Jay, just make sure you put the light on first before you put your head down, eh?
Well, definitely. This might cut out here, this microphone, but yeah. Did you say paddling?
Yeah, no, where do you go paddling?
Yeah, North Tyne, South Tyne. February, I was on the Tweed for 3 days. Sometimes out of my house, I go on the Tyne and paddle up to North Shields. I just take it on a trolley, paddle up to Shields, get me fish and chips, and get the wife to pick us up at the other end.
Very good.
So what's the boat you got then? Is it like a sea kayak or a river boat or what?
It's an open canoe. It's a Mad River Explorer 15 Royal Oak with wooden trim.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Like out of Deliverance. Like out of Deliverance. Like
no, that's right.
Yeah. One of them.
Definitely banjos.
Yeah.
What's that, Ian?
You kind of, I mean, around where I live, up on the north coast, you can use open canoes on the locks, but it tends to be too windy on the sea to use them. You know, you just like blowing all over the place.
It's not really
so you kind of need a sea kayak really if you're up here.
Yeah, I mean you can't do it. The trick is to bring a big metal pot and strap it to your canoe and throw it over the side, and it acts as an anchor so you can keep straight. It catches all the water and keeps you on a straight path. But yeah, I might be going up to the River Tay or the River Dee fairly soon. But I'm saying fairly soon. We're supposed to be out of this in June for sure. And yeah, I'm not really confident about that. So I might be stuck canoeing in Dunstan. So
there's a couple of rivers that I mean I don't do much river paddling, but the river paddlers that I know tell me that up in the north here, the two nicest ones are the Spey and the Findhorn. But you've got to be a bit careful on the Findhorn because there's a lot of white water on there, so you might have to do a few portages.
I've paddled the Findhorn, yeah, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's a brilliant river. I've done the Spey, the Tay, the Gower, the Gob Gower, the Findhorn. And some people don't believe that I've paddled the Gower because there's never any water in it, but sometimes they release the dam. And one day went past with a canoe and they released the dam and went on it and swam for a long time. Right. So that's canoeing anyway. And
I'll tell you what I was going to do this summer, which I mean, like I said, I don't normally do sort of rivers much, but I was going to do the Great Glen from Fort William to Inverness. It should take about sort of 3 or 4 days, something like that, and because that's meant to be quite nice.
Are you going to do that in a sea kayak or a canoe?
Well, I haven't got a canoe, so it'd have to be a sea kayak.
I'll do a sea kayak if I haven't got one. I'm going to canoe, do a sea kayak. I mean, I would go with what you've got, Ian. You know what I mean?
Jay, what I would do What I would do is I'd get yourself a couple of sherbets in the form of nookie brown down your neck. Get a bit of one of them spray canopy things on your canoe, and get yourself down and do the tidal bore on the River Severn.
Oh yes, yeah. Always wanted to kayak the tidal bore. Yeah,
It's
that
got to
would
be done before you reach
awesome.
50. How old are you now?
Yeah, that's kind of 49.
Oh, you see, Ben,
I
you see,
think
just a Ben.
48,
So
49.
it's a 50 crew.
Well, it feels great to be in the company of people where I actually feel a little bit young. Thanks, Eric.
Well, this
not
fella
often
here,
this
that one is, he talks about his men troubles when they're putting cameras up your arse end and doing all that kind of stuff. Blowpipes.
Yeah.
I got a chance to get my vaccine, but I went no, I'm not quite there yet.
Very
That was
sensible.
the finger thing again, the piece of string.
Well, they basically sent me a text to say I'm eligible to go and get a shot in my arm, and I was like,
Personality.
Hey?
Personality.
It's cutting that, I was like, cutting.
I thought they'd already done the over 70s.
Sorry?
I thought they'd already done the over 70s. They've vaxxed them.
Yeah. Hang on a minute, that deserves one of these. Oh, me sound's being muted, man. What's going on there? Where's me? Oh, it's just ruined the moment, that has.
You'll have to come back and join us again because, I was just thinking, Ian, our highly educated friend up there in the north of Scotland, is a science teacher, amongst other things, and he loves blowing shit up. And we haven't even talked about that yet. So there'll be some good stories there, I'm sure. Might even get one tonight if we touch on.
He's even a smuggler. Don't tell him about the smuggling.
Well,
story.
he's done smuggling and all sorts. And
he was smuggling.
Fish dead bodies out of the water at Dunstan. He's done all that.
He's fished dead bodies out of water at
Dunstan.
Yeah. He's done illegal lighter smuggling. Empty ones to fully fledged filled ones. He's done all sorts, that fella. And he's got a lock on top of his hill.
Yes, and it's on video on YouTube.
If you go to Geordie Bike Tours, you'll see me and this fella here.
And that one up in Scotland, I can't reach that far.
And that one up in Scotland, in a lock, almost semi-naked. When we did a motorcycle tour around Scotland.
That's something I'm going to have to watch out for, Eric.
I think your mic's gone, Jay. Your mic's gone.
Your mic's gone. Your mic's gone. Your mic's gone. Your mic's gone. Your mic's gone. Your mic's gone.
So should you, if you get another mic, we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Take it easy.
Well, there was Jane and there was Jay.
Proper Geordie lad.
So he's a Geordie lad in the sort of similar business to be, just a bit of new linguistic programming and a bit of communication training and all that kind of malarkey. So
more importantly, he's a fellow paddler.
What's the matter with your mic? Your mic gone off as well, yeah?
Me? No.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, yeah.
I said, more importantly, he's a fellow paddler.
A fellow paddler.
Yeah.
So, hi. So it's been an interesting week. You've had an interesting week, haven't you?
No, I had a pretty boring one, actually.
I had a pretty boring week. I've had an interesting week. And we've been out motorcycling trailer today. So we're a bit flat. We're a bit flat today. So if any viewers are watching, I know there's a bit of a delay. If you want to give us something to talk about, or unless we've got something entertaining to talk about, because I've got nothing else to moan about tonight, other than.
I've got a moan. This has really upset me today.
Go on. Not you, Douglas Spruce again.
We were coming back home from all that, and we come heading back up to the north coast, and we on the drive back. Well, you remember it. Do you remember? You go through Leg.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember Leg? And then just north of Leg.
Yeah.
Do you remember? There's a pub in the middle of nowhere called the Crask Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Remember that? Yeah. Well, you'll be shocked when I tell you this. You'll be absolutely fucking devastated. Because no, it's not that bad. But just you'll remember the ride, because just before you get to the Crask Inn, you're going through this lovely valley, this beautiful valley with the river on one side and the mountains on both sides. It's stunning, right? Well, they're now building a fucking gigantic wind farm in that valley. Can you believe it?
That's good, isn't it? Because that means that you get wonderful power generated from Scotland.
You are kidding me, aren't you?
No, you didn't like that, did you? You didn't like that. You see the reaction I got there?
No.
You didn't like that.
No.
I'm a bit of the same opinion. I think
Eric, you're buying into this propaganda that you're being fed by the government and the media that wind power is a good idea. And let's just pause for a moment.
Hang on, I'm going to stop you there. You can't tell. I was brought up with Trumpton and Windy Miller.
With what?
Trumpton and Windy Miller. And he was always a canny fella. And, I mean, they must produce an awful lot of flour, them windmills.
Well, exactly. That's the difference, isn't it? Windy Miller, he was using this for a good purpose. He was using it for a good, honest project, grinding flour and make bread. And that's perfectly acceptable, that is. So I have no problem at all with Windy Miller. My problem is with the Scottish government desecrating the Highlands with these obscene wind farms, and then trying to convince us that it's for our own good and we're going to get cheap electricity as a result of it, which is completely ludicrous. And you should see the destruction on the landscape there, the amount of concrete and the roads that are going in for the infrastructure for this place is just unbelievable. It's absolutely ruining the place. And of course, most of the time they're not producing any electricity anyway. I mean, we had the whole of January where it was absolutely freezing here, with temperatures were down to -22, and there was no wind. So if you were going to be relying on wind power, then you wouldn't have got any. And of course, all of our electric bills are going up massively because we're subsidising this fake green industry. And you can't even recycle the things at the end of the day because they're built from such exotic plastics that all you can do with them is stick them in landfill. So it's an absolute ludicrous joke, these things. But you can't tell the Scottish government that. They're just covering the Highlands with it. It's absolutely outrageous.
But answer that. I know we're getting a bit political here, right? The Scottish government are now suggesting that you don't have kids go to school until they're 7. Like the old Scandinavian idea.
I hadn't heard that one. I'm quite surprised at that.
That's what they're peddling on the good old BBC. Not that I shouldn't mention that in front of you.
Well, there you go. It's on the BBC. You can't believe a word of it, can you?
But it was on other channel.
Another thing about these wind turbines is they were sold to us on the basis of cheap electricity, which is a lie, obviously, because it's getting more expensive. They were sold to us on the basis of it being good for the environment, which is a lie, because you can't recycle them and it completely destroys the environment with the concrete. But they're also sold to us, especially up here in the Highlands, that have produced loads of jobs in these remote areas where there isn't any industry. And so what's the Scottish government done? They've contracted out the manufacture of all these wind farms to the Chinese. So once again, the Chinese are taking over the world. So, despite the fact there are plenty of companies in the UK that could have made these wind turbines, oh no, we'll give it to the Chinese because our globalist masters tell us that's what we've got to do.
You've got a nice hi from Ala Paula, number 9. I don't know. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. That may be a new viewer. Tell your friends.
One of the docks that I go to, Ian, on the way into the dock, and there's quite a few of these turbine things down there. Obviously, this is right on the coast where the boats come in for import and export of cars. And there's a massive great big one, and it does not make a lot of noise when you're anywhere near it. But it's right on the entrance to the port, and we've got to drive directly past it, underneath it virtually. And it was a couple of months ago, there was a guy, the thing was stopped, and there was a guy, obviously must have come out of the control bit, the box bit, and he'd abseiled all the way down, and he was hanging right at the bottom of the very blade. This blade was obviously at 6 o'clock. And when I went in, I mean, he was probably 40 or 50 feet up, just hanging on this line. And I had to stop and say, "Bah, lad, you must have had your flipping what do you call it?
Weetabix.
Weetabix, aye. You must have had 3 Weetabix or more this morning. And he shouts down, he goes, ah, you're right, son. I says, I just hope the bloke up there hasn't got the handbrake on, you know what I mean?
Anyway, I've lost me.
It's quite interesting actually how the engineers get in there to maintain them.
Oh, we've got a major disaster here. Hang on, Ian. We've got a major disaster. I've lost my bottle opener.
You didn't bring one in?
I've always got one in the
Use your
office.
teeth.
Oh, there it is.
It's been averted. Graham spotted me bottle opener from No Shields. How handy was that?
What about wind turbines?
You have to be so loud. We've got a little band getting to bed.
Well, forget I'm in No Shields.
Oh.
What about offshore turbines?
Scare the fish.
Same thing. They destroy the seabed because of all the concrete they put down, the holes that they drill in it. They're a danger to navigation. They mince the birds that fly through them. I mean, it's now. I know a guy who actually does this job. Right, the RSPB tried to deny it for years because the RSPB invests loads of money in wind technology. So they're trying to convince everybody that it's good and it's environmentally friendly and all that bullshit, right? And where they have wind turbines on their RSPB reserves, which there's one around here on the north coast where they got one, they actually employ a couple of guys, and I knew one of them well, which is how I know this, to go round the reserve first thing in the morning and pick up the bodies of all the dead birds that got chopped up in the wind turbines during the night. Not a lot of people know that, so there you go.
I must admit,
And it'll be exactly the same at the
I
sea.
didn't know that. Did you know that?
And
You didn't know that.
and what's an average number count then?
You're looking at well, I mean, it depends on the time of year because if you're talking like migration times, like spring and autumn, when there's big flocks going through, then you could be talking hundreds of them. And you know, day in winter time, middle of summertime might be a lot less than that. So it varies hugely, but you're talking large numbers. And the RSPB just won't admit to it at all. It's one of their dirty little secrets.
I mean, if you get your big murmuration in the evening that happens to coincide with the direction of a large twatting wind turbine,
Exactly.
I would imagine you're going to wipe a few buggers out.
Yeah. Like talking about the engineers that go and to maintain those things. It's quite interesting how they do it now because in the old days when the wind turbines were first built, they used to just have a very long ladder inside the sort of column thing that it's mounted on, and used to go in a little door in the bottom, climb up this ladder, and get to the top that way. But as you have spotted, now they do it differently, and the way it works now is there's a little door still in the bottom of the column, and they go in the door, and they press a couple of little buttons. And when they press a couple of little buttons, you will notice a little panel in the very top of the wind turbine, underneath the generator, slides back, and this little electric winch drops a steel cable down. And when it touches the ground, the engineer, who is wearing a harness by this time, clips onto this little wire, and he has a little remote button thing in his hand, so he doesn't need a mate with him. He can just do it all on his own. And he presses his little button, and the little winch winds him up there and deposits him inside the generator casing right at the top of the tower. And the little door shuts again, and then he can do all his thing. And then he reverses the procedure to get back down again. So it's quite impressive. Although, I mean,
is it electric winch?
Yeah. so if the wind stops while he's up there, he's a bit fucked.
Knee wind, he's like, oh shit.
I know, but are they doing that when the thing's spinning? Or do they have to stop it? Do they stop it remotely? I'm sure they'll just press a switch and it'll stop. The blades turn.
Yeah, they stop it because the wire that comes down. I mean, obviously, you know, the height of some of the big ones there. It's a bloody long wire. So you know, if the thing was still spinning, then it would be quite possible for a gust of wind from the wrong direction to blow him into the spinning blades on the end of his little dangly wire. So yeah, they stop it before they go up there.
Be a good argument for the RSPB. It'll be a good argument for the RSPB, mate.
Well, indeed.
That's what you
do.
do.
You want to borrow my bottle opener from Door Shields?
In the really cold weather up here, they had a problem with the blades icing up as well. That was another reason to stop. So they had to spray antifreeze on it from a helicopter. Can you believe that?
What's wrong with you?
Dangerous. That.
It's not dangerous. It's a perfectly good bottle opener.
What's that thing on the thing
It's a
sticking
can
out?
opener. Gee, me.
Is that one of your wacky?
This is a good bottle opener. It stretches all the way from here to North Shields and back again. Look at that. That's amazing. Go from one side to the other. Look at that. That's just incredible. But it's a good bottle opener. I use it for me camping. This is for opening me tins. When you open
Eric,
tin,
it's not quite 14.5 degrees. That means there'd be in there.
it's nice, isn't it?
Oh, damn it.
Yeah,
When were you
yeah.
last camping then, Eric?
Sorry?
When were you last camping?
I was last camping with a load of Brazilian and Portuguese last June, I think it was, when we had a brief resume from the lockdown. So we went camping, the whole lot of us. And I was trying to teach the adults and children who had never played the game of rounders in their life before, the game of rounders. And you try to explain to most adults that have never grown up with rounders how to play it. It's a difficult task.
Is that the same as softball?
No, it's rounders. Rounders, man.
Is it the same as softball?
No, it's not. It's rounders, man. It's a good old Geordie game, rounders.
But
To
is
look
softball
at
the same?
you, I've got to look this way. I've got to look away from you to look at you on camera. Do you know that? Because I've actually looked at you.
I'm getting a crick in my neck because normally I'm sitting right in front of the thing like that.
But to look at you, I'm going to do that. But I'm not, you turn
Mr. Jones, guy.
to look at you like that. Yeah. But, so anyway, there was one lad in particular. I'm good with kids, as you know. I do it for them. And this little lad said, he had a first shot of trying to hit the ball with a rounder's bat. And he said, I can't hit it. I says, you're right, you can't. To which his mother went, well, that's not encouragement. I said, that's a fact. It's not encouragement. He's trying hitting it. He can't hit it. That is the fact. The little bugger can't hit it. And he went, but you've got to worry about mental health. I said, I don't have to worry about your mental health. That's your mental health. Why the hell should I worry about it? I'm stating a fact, son. You said you can't hit the ball. You're right, you can't hit the ball. But I'll tell you what, though. Carry on swinging the bat. At some point, the low probability means you'll smack it at some point. It's a guaranteed fact. So if you don't carry on trying, you'll never hit the bugger. So he carried on. About the fourth time, he hit this ball and it shot off. I says, no, you've just dispelled your own myth. So deal with it. So I'm not really too much into this. Look at people's mental health, well-being. You just got to tell them how it is. And say, look, I can't hit it. You're right, you bloody can't hit it. That's just a statement of fact. But if you carry on trying, at some point you will.
Well, everything on the flipping news. I have listened to a little bit of radio this week. Everything on the flipping news this week is just appeasing everybody and, they're upset about this and they're upset about that. I'm like, what the friggin' hell's the matter with the world now?
Too right.
Nobody's got
Get a
any
grip.
balls left anywhere now.
There was a lovely thing on that social media thing. Well, not a lovely thing, but there was a thing on social media thing about the fact that if you were born in something like the early 1900s, you'd been through the First World War, Second World War, a pandemic, flus, Vietnam, and it killed something like 60 million people. And then people were going, oh, this COVID, yeah, it's bad, we've lost a few people, but it wasn't anything in comparison to what happened in the Blitz and the war and such like. And people had a stiff upper lip then, they got on with stuff. They didn't go, oh, well,
No, the emotional
It's
status of everybody now, God bless
it's the worst. It's the worst ever.
them. They need counselling for being late to go to their own flipping funeral now.
Too right. These millennials that want things, they want things on a plate. They want things on a plate.
If this whole episode had happened 2 years ago, it wouldn't have been a pandemic at all. But it's interesting that 2 years ago, the World Health Organization redefined the meaning of the word pandemic so that they could apply it to what's happening now when it isn't actually a pandemic at all. Fascinating, that.
Oh, is this one of our taboo subjects? I think we need to
I don't think we should. I think we should go for freedom of speech now, Eric.
COVID. We're not doing lockdown.
We need to go for freedom of speech.
And we apologise for any. I love this one. We apologise for any bad language.
You spelled apologise wrong.
Oh, was it really?
And why can you, Ian?
There's apologies. We apologise. It should be. It's a public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can you, Ian? Why can you go to a motorway service, albeit most
There you
of
go.
them-
That makes more grammatical sense. I'm just going to put on our apologies. That makes more grammatical sense now. Our apologies for any. That'll help you now, Graham. Ian. Our apology for any bad language or any offence caused No, we don't, because we don't bloody care. We don't
You
care.
can go to a motorway services and you can go into W.H. Smith's and buy out you like and get a cup of coffee. But Costa, 10 yards across the way, in the same facility, you can only buy a coffee, click and collect.
Who knew?
What's all that about? So I wanted to get a coffee the other morning and I went in there thinking, this is a bit strange. It's all fenced off and boarded up and they've got all the little lines to follow and arrows and all the rest of it. I says, can I not buy a cup of coffee? Well, you can if you've got the app. Well, I haven't got the app. So if I have got the app, how does that work? Well, you order your coffee and then you come in here and get it. What you mean, like, if I walked across to there now and got it, I'll be getting it from the same place, right? Well, yeah. But I can't do that. I've got to go to my truck, download the app, order the coffee, come back in, come to the same place and get it. But now that I'm here, you're going to make the coffee in the same place, aren't you? Well, yeah. So you're going to make the coffee in the same place and I'm going to collect it from the same place. But I cannot just order a coffee and do that. I've got to go and do it on the app to come back in to the same place to be handed the coffee from you or have the coffee placed at the same place. How? Well, like, what? You know what I mean? I can go over there to W.H. Smith and go to the machine and get one. But it's always better when they make it fresh. What? Well, that's the way it is, mate. Well, I haven't got the app. Well, can I get a cup of coffee? All right, okay. just madness, isn't it?
Aye, the world gone mad. Anyway, I know we're not doing COVID, but I want to moan about £37 billion for a track and trace app, which was a bag of shit. £37 billion. How can you spend £37 billion on IT buffs to spend that much time developing an app that didn't even start work?
They'll all have new houses now, though. A lot of them will.
It's just, I mean, anyway, if you're watching this live, don't forget to subscribe. Click what we're doing the bell?
Click the click and
no,
ding the ding.
We're smashing the bell
and click the ding.
And we're doing a huge thumbs up. Unless, of course, you think it's shite and you give us a huge thumb down. Any comments?
Ding the ding.
You know, good comment or bad comments, comment. And if you're on D Live, don't forget to follow. How much is it? How much? Brings up me Spielman. And I'm only doing this to keep Rachel happy, who's one of our people at the back office who's looking at this, just so she knows I've done me bit. And next week, we're going to have on Brian Johnson from AC/DC. He's going to be the guest next week. That was a lie, by the way. It's just to kind of get more people watching.
So how much did they blow on the test?
37 billion pounds.
Billion? How many nuclear submarines could he buy for that?
Quite a few. Not many, actually.
Actually, Ian, I was going to tell you about something, but I'll not bother because you haven't got a TV.
We can just tell him.
There's a fantastic thing which can be found if you've got a TV.
Or the internet.
Ian, you might be able to get it on the internet. It's called Operation Odessa. And it's extremely entertaining, but it's true. It's about 3 guys. One of them is a Russian mafia guy who basically did some pretty crooked stuff and killed a few people and what have you. But he hooked up with a guy who was also a bit proper dodgy. And this guy made a lot of money in the early 80s importing, in a rather dodgy fashion, exotic cars and flogging them to high-profile rock stars and pop stars and all this kind of stuff. So he independently was worth a fortune. But they got really pally with a guy that was linked to Pablo Escobar. And this guy was one of the big guys in the drugs game, right? And it's a very, very... I'm sure it'll be on the internet. I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube. Operation Odessa. And it's fantastically interesting. They actually get more and more into the drug side of this operation, right? Because they've got the main contact that's almost right-hand man to Pablo Escobar. Well, their only concern is moving drugs, and they'll do that at any cost as long as there's a profit. Well, this was right at the point when the downfall of the USSR happened.
Look at your camera. Look at your camera.
The downfall of the USSR.
Amateurs.
And these crazy dudes were saying, well, hang on, if you got some of them big Russian helicopters, if you got some of those big Russian helicopters, you can get quite a lot of tonnage in the back of them. So they started buying Russian ex-military helicopters at the back of bars and stuff like this. because there was no law. There was no.
Where's he fucking looking?
There was no
Where's
military.
he looking now? You just look at the fucking camera when you're talking to the camera. It means you connect with the audience. You look like you're looking at the end.
Anyway, they started doing that rather successfully, and they did some pretty amazing deals. And they were buying these helicopters for tuppence halfpenny, and it's really funny as well, but it's true. And then the guy says, "Do you think you could get a submarine?" And that's what it was all about. And that's when it all went pear-shaped for them. They actually agreed to buy an American ex-nuclear, obviously disarmed, but it was actually a nuclear submarine, but a really early one, right? And they managed to pull this deal off, and they had everything in place to go and do it. And the right-hand man of Pablo Escobar was given something like $40 million in cash, and he just did a runner with the money.
As you would.
But then it all imploded, and most of them, well, you know what happened to Pablo and all the rest of it. So this guy got off scot-free with $40 million. The rest of them got nicked, but he's still on the run. But it's very entertaining and it's very funny. Operation Odessa. See if you can find it on the internet. You'd love it.
And it's a true story.
Yeah, it's true. They were buying Russian motorcycles and importing them and selling them.
Mr. Borthwick, it's on Netflix.
I know that's where I saw it, but Ian hasn't got the telly, has he?
Yeah.
But you got Netflix on it on a. If you've got a friend who's got Netflix, you might even actually get a friend. Not you got a friend. Have you got any friends, Ian?
No.
No, he hasn't got any friends.
He's got some green spruce trees or something.
He's got some. It's Douglas fir.
That's the one.
Douglas
Got my little friend there. Yeah.
Douglas fir. So we have to make sure that we make a note to measure with taints for next week, because I don't believe you're 14 centimeters. That's just a lie.
Yeah.
That was just an absolute.
Yeah. You know what the problem with our pub is. I've identified what the problem is.
With this pub.
With this pub.
This pub.
Nobody's wiped the top down for a while. I know that.
Yes, there is a problem, or at least it would be considered so to a lot of people today. And the problem with our pub is a lack of diversity.
I'm going to connect with you. I'm connecting with you. Tell me what the problem is. Yeah.
A lack of diversity.
What do you mean by diversity? You want some women? Women not allowed in the bar.
Because look at us. We're all white heterosexual males.
So you want some more hang on. Do you want that GLBT? Whatever it is.
In today's society, white heterosexual males are the worst possible thing you can be. We are all evil. We are responsible for all the problems in the world. And
yes, but if you watch any advert on TV, Ian, you will see, and you will have you haven't got a TV, have you? You will notice that they do try and keep a correct balance. So there's always a white dad with a not white kid eating their chips, if you know what I mean.
I noticed that. Yeah.
It's always quite well balanced there. So they have the correct element in place for that purpose.
I learned a new phrase yesterday. We, as in us three, right? We all represent the cisgender patriarchy.
So we are all white and have no voice. Is that what you said?
The cisgender patriarchy. That's what we are.
Cisgender patriarchy.
Yes. Now then, I will define the word cisgender for you, and just listen to this carefully, right?
Where does it fit in with the minorities? Because we're not BMO.
Cisgender means that we three identify with the gender that we were born with. Just think about that for a moment. We identify as the gender that we were born with.
Gadgies.
Yep. That is what cisgender means.
With incredibly large taints. Is that right?
Yep. And today, as far as the social justice warriors are concerned, there's nothing worse than a cisgender patriarchy.
So there you go. We're like filth. Complete
We are filth.
Filth.
As far as the social justice warriors.
Nothing
and the Liberals
to
are
kind of
concerned,
educate the world on.
We are the scum of the earth. Yeah,
The scum of the earth.
And I have to say, you know, having, as I'm sure you have, having met an increasing number of social justice warriors and so-called liberals, they are some of the most judgmental, intolerant, sanctimonious, self-righteous people I've ever met in my life. And not only that, they're always
I would have
permanently
shortened
grumpy.
that's just the foot whips.
Indeed, they're permanently grumpy because their worldview never stacks up against the real world.
We should get a few of them on here then. In fact, what we need is a few of them sanctimonious.
That would get a few eyebrows, wouldn't it?
Aye, we need to get on the token gay, the token woman, the token black, the token Asian, BM,
In fact, Ian.
GLBT. I mean,
Yeah.
how many has it got? GLBT, DBRS plus.
Well,
God knows.
the problem
Lost
now,
count, eh?
Ian, apart from all of that you've just mentioned, the problem now is, and this was discussed on a popular radio program the other day, a lot of them now, they're what's known as gender fluid, so they don't know what the hell they are.
Yeah.
And they can switch between one and the other in the course of a day or a week or whatever.
So,
But
some plants.
everybody around them has to adopt that fluidity, as it were. And I'm like, what? What on God's earth? You're either are or you're not. You know what I mean? Well, sometimes I am,
exactly.
sometimes I'm not. Like, well,
Exactly. Yeah.
Gender
Narcissists.
fluid.
That's what they are. Narcissists.
Rajis.
Well, remember, we need to get one on the show to educate us.
And you know what really gets me about these people?
Well,
They constantly bleat about equality. And they
Bleat
just
as in-
can't cope with the idea that in the real world, we're not all equal. It's all very well having equality of
as in bleat.
opportunity, but
That kind of bleat one.
but you just don't get equality of outcome because everybody is different. And so what these social justice warriors try and do is move the goalposts to make the outcomes equal when they can't be. So you get all these ludicrous situations that you've got today, like the fire service, because they decided that they haven't got enough women in the fire service and the women aren't strong enough to pass the fitness requirements. So what do? They adjust the fitness requirements to make them lower so that women can get in, which is going to be a great help to you when you're dying in a burning building with 2 broken legs and some little girlie comes to drag you out there and she can't actually lift you up.
Did you just say
Yeah.
little curly? Is that what you said out loud? So not some female firefighter. No, it's a little girlie who's not big enough to pull you out and by your legs to stop you from burning to death. Like I said, we aren't going to be politically correct on this channel. So if anybody's offended by this, then I do apologise. Well, no, we don't apologise. Go find something else to fucking watch. Simple as that.
Well, that's all the government do, isn't it? You know, they just change the rules to adopt to their pitch.
Exactly.
To fit their agenda.
Exactly.
Well, Ian, you've got a fan with Alan Lewis, who basically, I don't know why me.
Oh, it's Mr. Lewis in the house, is he?
Hey, Doc.
All right, Doc.
He's saying, I woke up a bit, and he's in completely agreement, wholeheartedly, everything you've just said. There you go.
Doc, you need to get onto this thing. I want to see what you look like. I haven't seen you for 30 years. I want to see you. Are you still a handsome dude with a beard?
Well, I've got a beard.
Yeah, he's still got the beard, but it's gone grey.
Well, Doc, here's your invitation. Get a camera and come and join us. Give Ian a ring or whatever, and we'll organise it.
Looks like he's on YouTube. He's on that YouTube.
You gotta come on, man. We gotta talk.
He's on a YouTube, man. He's on that YouTube.
We gotta talk about life.
Ain't on D-Live.
What you been doing, man? What you been doing?
Anyway, so we need to get on. We need to get on.
Anyway, it gets worse though with these social justice warriors.
Sorry?
It gets worse. It gets worse with these social justice warriors. So here's another example for you. So top universities in America and the UK now, they decide that they haven't got enough non-white people in their universities. So what do? They lower the entry requirements for the non-white people. How is that equality?
It beggars belief. I want to know why my comments have gone a different colour. Because I put the comments up now, it normally comes up white, but if for some reason it's gone black, there's your comment, Mister. He's saying red sheds.
So you can't see them.
Well, it's looking a bit. It's changed colour. I'm going to do a few technical things. And you guys carry on talking while I do the technical thing. I want to find out why my
Technical
comments
thing.
have changed colour. What's going on there then?
Mm.
Well, the military. If you join the military now, well, they're not
Oh.
allowed. They can they not shout at you now? Like when you're doing drill.
Well, you can't.
Well,
When
have you
can
seen
They
be a,
can't shout at
have
you.
you
can be a
seen
puff
some
and
of the
a-
adverts for the army now? You wouldn't honestly believe it, right? Because they're so desperate to attract ethnic minorities. They've now said that if you're in the army and you're out on patrol and you decide, and you're a Muslim, and you decide that you want to lob down your prayer mat and pray to Mecca, then everybody on your patrol has to stop and wait for you while you go and do that, and you're perfectly entitled to do it. I kid you not. How fucking ludicrous is this?
Well,
That's
they're
the sort
shooting
of situation we're getting.
exocet missiles at your tank. Stop!
Exactly.
Stop! Stop!
Yeah. Liberalism is going to destroy our society.
Too right.
Well, they should make it mandatory that they all watch the movie Fury before they join up.
Fury.
That's a good film.
Oh, it's the one with the tank, isn't it?
That's a very good kind of lifelike. Yeah, they made them live in a tank for 3 weeks or something before they made the movie. So
Oh,
they were
yeah.
proper stinky and gritty and grimy and all that.
Yeah. I saw that one. I think that was quite good.
No, they can't. I don't know what that's going on. I want to get this.
Come on then. Favorite war movie of all time? What do you reckon?
Here's a good rant, Ian. You know they're always talking to these dudes that are into space science and everything else. And it always just makes me laugh. It doesn't make me angry, it just makes me laugh. You know, they're always saying, well, you know, we've just discovered that such and such on Jupiter, and, there's definitely water there, and there's probably sea monsters, or certainly biological life, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hang on a minute. This frigging thing, this planet, is 5 years travelling at 1 billion warp speed 7 or whatever miles away, and you're telling me that from this little planet that we're on with a fancy telescope or something like that, or even these things, they keep saying, well, we've just landed a spaceship on Jupiter and we're taking samples, etc.
I've sorted now.
Oh, come on, really? You know, like how? You know, it's like it's 1 billion light years away. But no, you know exactly what's going on, and you can tell me that the atmosphere is that and that and that, and it's got water and piss off. You know what I mean? It's going to be a crock of shit, isn't it?
Keep the comments going. I managed to get them in a different colour. It's okay. I'm doing all the technical stuff. I'm getting all of it.
How can you make a career?
I'm talking the audience. here. I'm trying to demand the audience question. I've sorted the colour of the text.
Right, I'm happy for you.
People couldn't see the comments, so it was in black. I'm trying to do all the technical stuff. You guys are talking about puffs, non-puffs, gender.
Well, we're not now. We're talking about science. We're talking about scientific pods.
If you forgive me for being a bit nerdy, Graham, I can explain that one to you.
Oh God,
right?
He's going to be a bit nerdy.
It's a lot simpler than you might think. What it is all the elements in the periodic table, they emit light of a particular wavelength. So when you look at a distant planet, if you look at it using X-ray spectrography, which shows you the colours of light that are coming off it, which represents the infrared, the electromagnetic radiation, then the colour that you see will represent the elements that are present there. So, for example, if it's the right colour for oxygen, then that'll tell you that oxygen's there, and you can see that from billions and billions and billions of even light years away. So it saves you the bother of actually going there. So it is actually true that you can tell what's in the atmosphere of a planet just by looking at it with an X-ray spectrography telescope, and it's you can actually get them. You can buy them.
Thank you for tuning
you can buy little ones.
The sky at night.
Buy little ones
and
that big.
Extraterrestrial travel.
For like
we will be doing this show like with Ian broadcasting all by himself talking about this shit. Should you be interested, that will be streamed live on D-Live to those people that are.
So
I mean, be finished. We'll be striving.
You can buy a little one.
Those people.
You can buy a little one for about the size of that pencil, right? About the length of that pencil. And if you look at a
That's
star
Ian's
with it,
computer, that is.
then the colour that you see in the star will tell you what elements are in the atmosphere of that star, because that's the
You're still going
electromagnetic
in?
radiation
Still going?
it's emitting. So there
You're
you
still
go.
Going,
Stay
you're still
clever.
going on it. I thought you were demonstrating your.
This is true, Ian. So anyway, my thought.
What was your point?
process-
What was your point? You got a point.
You've just dispensed my theory that you can build a whole career on speculation on bullshit.
Yes.
But anyway, we shall get Ian streaming live on D-Live for those people that want to hear Ian talk about light emitting nodes of the periodic table. That's a completely different program to be broadcast on Saturday evening, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when the rest of us are all asleep. So please tune in for that. It's called Geordie Bore the Shit Out of You, courtesy of Mr. Broad.
There was a fabulous series on the radio called 13 Minutes to the Moon, which was narrated by, he's a doctor, Peter Thong, or Peter Young, I think he's called. Thong or Young.
Prefer Thong. Thong's better.
Apparently I'm rude, according to Mr. Broad.
And they actually interviewed a lot of the guys, those that are left, that were actually at mission control during Apollo 13. That's what it's all about, right? But NASA spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds trying to develop a pen because of gravity issues that they could use in space on the spacecraft. And in the conversations with these Russian cosmonauts and all the rest of it, they said, oh, we've just been trying to develop this pen and all that and so we can take notes when we're in space. And they said, we've thrown hundreds of millions of dollars at this and, how do you guys work it out? And he just held the pencil up and he went, use one of that. Pencil and a bit of paper. Because it works in gravity. You know what I mean? All right, never thought of that.
Well, a pencil's the original computer, isn't it? You print with one end, you rub up with the other one. That's it.
That's all they used.
There was another interesting one that they did in the same sort of vein. Was you remember when they had the space shuttle that the Americans spent billions of dollars developing those special ceramic tiles that would protect it from the heat when it through re-entry. Well, the Russians on their spaceship achieved the same ends by using cork tiles, like you would use on your bathroom floor, just thick cork, because it burns, but because it's so thick and has such high insulating properties, it burns really slowly, so it would last for the 2 minutes as it was going through the atmosphere during re-entry, and it cost like peanuts, whereas the American one cost billions and billions of dollars. So yeah, if there's a cheap way, a cheap, simple way to do it, the Russians managed to find it. You've got to take a hat off to them there.
Well, why don't they use that in these buildings that are so petrified now about fire hazards? Why don't they just use cork?
Well, it still burns. I mean, it'll burn and give off smoke, as it sort of smoulders. But it takes a long time to burn through it. So if you had it lining the inside of the building, it was on fire, then you'd be getting poisoned by all the smoke that was coming off it. But if the fire was on the outside, it'd be brilliant. It would protect you from the heat because it would take so long to burn through.
It also helps if you're going 3,000 miles an hour.
Hey?
It also helps if you're going 3,000 miles an hour because those fumes are going behind you, right?
That's true.
Well, indeed. Yeah.
And I was going to say something. I was going to say something quite profound. Then I was going to say something quite profound, but it's.
To be fair, before it's all very well sitting here and taking the mick out of the Americans, but what we in the West often forget, because the Russian media never released it at the time, was how many Russian cosmonauts died for every moonshot that they did, because they were trying to do everything on the cheap. They had so many accidents, and even today, nobody in the West is quite sure of how many cosmonauts actually died, but it was a hell of a lot. Whereas the Americans, the few disasters that they had were so widely publicized, everybody knows everything about them. Whereas the Russians,
did the dog and the monkey die? Did the dog and the monkey die?
The dog did. I think if I remember rightly, I think the monkey might have got back. but the dog definitely died. Yeah.
Because you know it's never a good idea to take a dog into space because they always want to stick their head out the window.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Mine would just want to shit everywhere.
Well, we've gone from bollocks to asteroids now, haven't we? Why is it hemorrhoids?
I tell you.
Bollocks to hemorrhoids.
It's been an interesting show. But Andy
Hemorrhoids
Bolton's
again.
talking about Apollo
Hemorrhoids
11
again.
and Apollo 13. I don't know what he's going about. I mean, by the time we get your comment, Andy, we've moved on.
By the time you start talking about Apollo 13, you're just catching up on Apollo 11 on this bandwidth.
Right, and I don't know. I still said I'm rude. Apparently, I'm rude. Ha ha. But no idea what reference.
That's a song, man. That was a
no
song
idea
by.
what reference to that is.
That was a song by Boney M.
He'll catch up. He'll catch up about 7 seconds after we've had this. How we doing streaming wise? Can you go to the back office and see I was streaming within reasonable time frame or what?
Hang on, I'll check. How we do? How's the delay? Like how much? How much?
Oh dear me, the delay will be.
It's pretty good. I'm reporting it's pretty good. There's only a few seconds delay.
Pretty good. So we're probably looking about 7 seconds or thereabouts. I was going to put on the tablet as well, but I haven't. What's all this one here? Look. Well, my missus used me tablets for all sorts of shit.
Have you noticed any increase in traffic near where you live? Because the general thought process is everything's going to be okay, man, so we can all go out there and start dancing around and travelling. I mean, not legally allowed yet, we know, but people are so fed up, I guess. Are you noticing a much increase in traffic?
Yeah. No? Absolutely none. No. People I tell you what, people in Scotland have bought into this propaganda from the BBC and the government so heavily that they are absolutely terrified. And the ones that aren't are too afraid to speak out because they get socially ostracised if you disagree with the narrative. It's really sad.
It's strange that you say that, Ian, because noticeably I was up your end of the country the latter part of this week just gone. And even though, I've got to be aware of how I present myself at these various motoring facilities, and I always wear my mask and all this kind of stuff, they are, now that you mention it, they are a bit more paranoid about, a lot of them are just, I can't even get into the garages, I can't even access. I've got to knock on the window and say, look, I've got a thing out there full of cars. So I don't know. You may be right.
I'm just testing the delay on YouTube. I've stopped on YouTube.
I find it really sad. You would think Scots, particularly up in the Highlands, you would think they'd have more sense, but that's not the case. They seem to be the most terrified people in the UK. It's very sad.
All right. I mean, I'm test it again now. For what time? What time? Right. I'm going to say. Well, I need a stopwatch. Start the stopwatch. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to count 7 seconds there. 1 and 2 and
3. Yeah, there's quite a delay there. It's probably 25, 30 seconds, isn't it? Hey-ho.
There you go. Yeah.
That's about 25 second delay. 25 second delay on YouTube.
Digging out the foundations for my new shed, and I was, which I was, as you know, I was doing by hand with a shovel and a pickaxe, by the way, and there was a couple of rocks in the trench that were so enormous that I cannot get them out, so I'm just going around them. And as I uncovered these rocks, the thought occurred to me that this would have been the first time that these rocks saw daylight since the last ice age. Just think about that for a moment. Amazing thought. They've been buried there since the last ice age, and all of a sudden they've got sunlight on them. What an amazing feeling, eh?
Did this?
Hang on. I need another moment.
Did they have a big sigh?
No, I need another moment. I want to think about it a bit more. So these rocks have not seen the light of day since the last ice age. And when specifically was that, Mr. Ian?
Well, I mean, the last ice age, because there have been several ice ages, but the last one finished 20,000 years ago. So that would be the last time that these rocks would have seen daylight.
Are you sure, though? Are you sure? Because, I mean, there might be some jock that say they also dig a boat.
Well, it could have been. It could have been longer than that. But certainly, I mean, the area that I was digging in has never been dug. It's like, virgin territory. So the last, no, there hasn't been any huge activity on this bit.
There might have been like a Millennium Dome or something, or some form of rock
No. There's no way this has been exposed for within the last 20,000 years, and it could be a lot longer than that. It might have been the ice age before that, or the one before that.
You may be releasing bacteria into the environment.
I did. I mean, I think I mentioned to you a little while ago when I was doing some diking. You kind of get in tune with the rocks there when you're building your wall, and there is something about the rocks. They're not just inanimate lumps of material there. So I do feel for them a bit, when they're suddenly exposed to the sunlight. When you dig them up after all this time in the earth there, it must be a bit of a shock to them, So I made a habit of putting my hand on the rock, and just sort of having a few words with it. And
I've had a bit of counselling up here. You get counselling rocks.
And I think you should start a rock school.
Well, and the other interesting thing was, like I say, there was a couple of rocks there that were just so enormous that I had to go round them.
How you doing?
There were some there. There were some there that were.
Okay, Rob. Hello, Rob.
I know you've not seen Sunlight before.
Well, not that big.
Don't fret, little rock. Don't fret, little rock.
Don't, the light.
Sunlight.
I've not seen sunlight for 20,000 years.
Well, you may mock, but these rocks are my friends.
Yeah, that's the general idea.
No. I'll tell you what happened. Yeah, you can make a joke of it if you wish, but I'll tell you a true story that happened there. And this happened several times when I was digging this trench. Right?
Did you really?
I uncovered several rocks that were not as big as the two really huge ones that I had no chance of moving, but they were big. And I got my pickaxe under them, and then I got my very long pry bar under them, and gave them a bit of a rive at them. And there was no way these rocks were shifting. Right. So I put all my tools down. I went up to these rocks, and I put my hand on the rock, and I said, look, I appreciate you've been under the ground all this time, and it's a bit of a shock to you suddenly being exposed to the light. But I said, what I want, I need you to move. I need you to move out of the way. I said, and I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to move you out of the way so that I can have this trench that I can fill with concrete to build my wall on. And then I went back and I picked up my tools and I put my pry bar under it. And guess what happened? It moved straight away. And that happened on several occasions with these rocks. Now, you cannot tell me that rocks are dumb.
So you can be thick as a plank, but not as a rock.
So you cannot be dumb as a rock.
Sorry,
no.
Ian, you were
thick as mint.
You were talking about the new age lovies and the eco warriors and all the rest of it. Start a school, therapy for rocks. They'd love it. You'd get them signing up in the millions, hugging trees and talking to rocks.
No, forget the trees.
Let's
go with the rocks. You're going to go with the rocks.
It's a lovely rock. This one's not seen a lot of days for 20,000 years. 20,000 years. And when I said, I want you to move, the rock says, okay, then since if I said, actually, I'll move.
I think it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful thing.
That's what it boils down to, Eric. Yeah, that's the way it happened.
Well,
you're not getting disagreed with me.
they put them on your pillows when you're having a massage, don't they? So there must be
On your back.
the forces.
They
forces,
heat them
man.
up. They heat them up and stick on your back.
The force be with you.
They do. They put them on your back and they put them up your nose and whatever.
Does it work? Or is it a load of shite?
Well, I have no idea.
They warm them in oil.
Yeah, they have mud baths and they have all sorts of stuff. But now we know that if you talk nicely to a rock, I mean, the thing about talking to plants, so plants get it, don't they? You know, they understand good vibes and bad vibes. Even water, apparently.
But that's got something to do with carbon dioxide.
No, but no. Apparently not even water.
Because when you're going, I love you, you're breathing carbon dioxide and it helps them grow.
No. Apparently,
Not
even
necessarily.
water, just to say water.
I'll tell you a true story about the CIA
True
and
story.
an experiment they did on plants. Right?
That's true.
The CIA, this happened back in the 1970s. The CIA were doing research to try and find out if plants had feelings. Right? So what they did, they'd wired up this plant to a very, very sensitive machine that could measure the tiniest electric currents. And then this guy came in, and the plant, incidentally, was a rubber plant. And it was in a pot. And this guy came in, smoking a cigarette, and he stubbed out his cigarette on the leaf of the plant. And when he did that, there was a little blip in the electrical reading on this very sensitive device measuring the current going through the plant. Now, he carried on every day for a week. The same guy came into this room, stubbed out a cigarette on the leaf of the plant, and the same thing happened. This little blip in the electrical current running through the plant. Then after a week of doing this, he came in one day without stubbing the cigarette out on the plant. And he walked up to the plant, and guess what happened? The machine registered a little blip in the electrical current going through from the plant. And the conclusion of the experiment was the plant had actually recognized this guy, and it was anticipating the pain from the cigarette being stubbed out on its leaf. So it got frightened. So there you go. Plants have feelings.
Did the plant, after this traumatic episode, ever bounce back? Because it was a rubber plant.
That definitely gets one of them. I'm sorry, but that definitely.
Well, that was fascinating. That Jesus, where did you get him? Where do you get him? Where do you get him?
Rocks and rubber plants and feelings.
It's well documented.
There is some research into even race. When you talk badly to race, it kind of absorbs the badness. If you talk positivity to race, it absorbs the positivity. So it's and even water apparently.
Is that how you can have a good Chinese takeaway and a bad one? Because if you don't talk to it properly,
flung down. But even water actually retains with positive or negative vibes.
So if your Chinese takeaway turns up when you've got fried rice, and you go, oh, your lovely fried rice, you're like, I'm really.
Well, I think this beer is vast majority water, so I've got to go.
You're a lovely beer. You're gorgeous. I want to drink you. I want to enjoy you, but I don't want to hangover next morning. Thanks very much.
I have found that if you talk that way to women, it has a very positive response.
Mine didn't go. What do you want? What are you after?
Tell them,
suspicious.
Tell them that they're wonderful and they look great and all that kind of. It's marvellous. It has a very good response. Yeah. Absolutely. Very good response.
I look this way, so I'm not looking at you. Right.
Bah, you're looking good tonight, lass.
Aye. Bit like what I call him, Chris Rea. What was it, Chris Rea? Christa Berg.
Lady in Red.
No, that's the one. Christa Berg.
You look marvellous.
No, and that was also, what do you call him?
Knopfler.
Oh, man. What's his name? Eric.
Clapton.
That's him. He did a lot of stuff like that as well. When you stop doing that, you're messing the microphone up. It's very sensitive, this microphone, when you stop doing that.
I had a good music track on the radio today, and it was by one of my most detested bands in the world, and I thought, hey, even they can actually make a decent record now and again. The Foo Fighters. I can't stand them.
I need to look at you here. I need to look that way. Look at you. Look in a complete different direction. Go, oh, really?
It was actually...
Will you stop doing that with your beer bottle? Will you stop doing that with your...
Why? What's the matter with it?
Because it's registered on a bloody... What's the mic? Go on, do it again.
Well, that thing there, the level.
Exactly.
All right.
God, I tell you, it's working with amateurs here, and absolutely working with amateurs. What's this? So it has impact. Aye, it does.
It's pretty sensitive, that thing.
Of course it is.
I'm going on.
I know, I bought it.
Whatever that noise was you were making there, Eric, I don't know what it was, but from where I'm sitting, it sounded exactly like the noise a dog makes when it's humping your leg.
What that?
That's the one. Yeah.
You must have some strange dogs around your place. They sound like a bottle of beer being rotated on a desk.
They've got some strange people that talk to rocks.
He does. Yeah, no, I mean, you could certainly put a website together. Rock therapy. How misunderstood that be? Come for a bit of rock therapy. What's that about? Like, well, you talk the rocks. And
Hey, I'm sure you can build a course around this for wackos.
So could you do the same thing with a breeze block or a building brick?
No. Of course not. No, it's because they're synthetic, aren't they?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of clay involved, you know.
They've got they're full of little air holes as well.
Exactly. Yeah. It's got to be something that's formed either by sedimentation, metamorphosis, or igneous activity.
I once
You can't have
changed
something
it. I
that's
changed a bit.
made in a factory.
Straight edge once. That's because I actually had a butt clenching episode on the side of straight edge and caused a metaphoric change in pressure in the rock.
So could this be kind of generic towards other organic matter materials? Like, could a lump of coal have feelings, do you think?
Well, if you think about it, going back a few hundred years, then before things like Christianity and so forth turned up, then all the people used to worship spirits in the rock and the water and the air and stuff like that, and the trees, didn't they? And now we know why. You see, there's actually something in it. Those people weren't as dumb as you think.
Well, there was a program called excuse me, that was terrible. Outlander, and that was all about going through the rocks back in history. You won't know that because you're going to telly. But if you had a telly,
yeah,
you could watch it.
Yeah.
There's a really funny TV program. I know I shouldn't go on about TVs, but it was just something that Shelley and I found, and it's the funniest damn thing. It's these crazy Americans, and it's called Skywalker Ranch, but we call it Skinny Butt Ranch. And apparently the theory is it's a ranch in the middle of America somewhere, but this place has the most cosmic activity in any place on the face of the planet. It gets visited by aliens. It gets visited by, well, apparently the dead past members of Red Indian tribesmen, and one of them walks across the top of the mountaintops every night, and that's what it's called, Skywalker Ranch, because this thing's called the Skywalker, right? And these crazy dudes and all these phenomenal happenings go on, and it's dead funny. And they have the big meetings with a ranch owner, and it's like they're all sitting around dead serious, and they're going, well, we had a bit of this cosmic activity, and you go up there with your Geiger meter, man, and I tell you it's going to go off that scale, man. It's going to go off that scale. Really? Let's get up there, man. And they all jump into the little, like, dune buggies, like the banana splits, and they go tearing off, and everything's like, wow, really? And it's a bit like the ghost things, and they're like, God, man, did you hear that? That was just seismic, man. That was just off the scale, man. It's just the funniest thing you've ever seen. Aliens.
Excuse me, gentlemen. I've got to go for a wee.
Oh.
Well, we're nearly done anyway.
Oh, we're getting that time. So let's put the.
Anyway, Mr. Borthwick,
so
thanks for joining us.
So I'm going to look at you. You're going to look at me. We'll have a conversation between the two of us.
Done. That way, aren't we?
Yeah, you got it. You got to come. No, it's face on the camera. That way, look that way. Which way you looking? You get your face on the camera. You haven't got your face on the camera. Look at that. There you go. So what do you reckon, Mr. Davis? Have you enjoyed the?
What was that? What was that thing we used to do when they were on the TV? The Smith
Griff Rhys Jones. Right then, Mr. Davis.
What's all that about then? What's all that about?
I think we'd be doing a bit of Cockney, all sorts of accent.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
I don't think, when we think about it, is that we should be like
you know.
I mean, I don't know, mate. I mean, what's all this talking about? Do you ever talk to rocks, Eric? Do you ever talk to
Oh,
stones?
I've never talked a rock in my life. No, I don't think.
I don't think I've tried it myself, you know.
I don't think they'll ever bother, mate. I mean, I don't want to say to the bloke, you know, I don't believe you because I think there's. I mean, after all, Meghan Markle, I think she was talking to this shit, but people believed it. I don't want to say I don't believe the guy because I think he's got a point on.
Well, you know, what that Harry fella, that royal fella, that Harry.
I don't talk about that. I don't talk about that. But
he might have gone off the scales a bit, you know, because he might talk to rocks and trees and stuff like that.
Well, scales and rocks make a lot of sense, didn't it? Because I mean, them rocks was weighed on scales, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, well.
But I just think if you're going to move a rock, it's best to ask it first to move.
No, Eric, mate. If you're going to move a rock, you get a digger. You get a big one. Big digger.
Hey,
I mean, it just makes life so much easier, doesn't it?
Oh, I love a digger,
I mean?
mate. I love a digger. You know me, I love a digger. I love a digger. I'm pretty good at the digger.
That fella, Eric, that fella Ian had a big digger up at his gaff, you know. He did a lot of landscaping with a big digger. Proper big thing it was.
I'll be like,
You'd be like that. What's name one of them big crane companies, Lieber Bremer. Have you seen them climbing up the side of things with them diggers?
That'll be rubbing me old knees. I'll be like, have a bit of that, mate. Have a bit of that.
He must be full of beer, that lad.
He's got a fair place. He's got a fair way to go. He's got any toilets.
Well, anyway, look, Mr. Yates. 6 minutes past 10.
We've had some interesting comments. This has quite warm. This is me COVID hair, people.
It's quite warm and no shields tonight, Eric.
COVID hair. This is it's. Where's your Geordie cat then?
I forgot it, didn't I?
Oh, I forgot it. Just knee good that leg. It's just knee good that leg. Knee good.
I didn't even wear me branded other hat.
Oof. Well, I've got this one. This one over here. This one here. This is me. That's my BMW cap.
I got a lovely BMW sweatshirt off somebody for Christmas on the road here.
Yeah. This is me.
Proper B.
Geordie cap. So.
Well, when Mr. Yates come back, and thanks to all the viewers.
I'm here.
When Mr. Yates, Yates
I'm Mr. Yates is here. I'm here.
When Mr. Ian comes back,
we'll sign off.
We'll probably sign it off because we've been on 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Oh, well, we haven't. We've actually been on. We've been only 2 hours 7 minutes. That's right. That's right.
Well, actually, was that coincidental? Because I'm looking at that saying that's the time, this 22 or something.
This is correct. I mean, there's a bit delayed on that YouTube thing, like.
That's just synced with the time rather well, isn't it? But it must have started. Well, it did start at 8 o'clock, didn't it? We did. Oh, he's back.
Ian, we've done Griffith, Smith and Jones, but we're talking about just signing off now because we're getting
right.
We've got an early. We've got a not that he's in the same place as me. Him there.
Eric's promised to do most of the driving because I've done a lot of that this week and I don't want to be doing lots of that. So, but it's okay because we're in the same social bubble, you know.
We're in the same bubble business.
We're in the bubble business.
Business bubble. Despite the fact we're in two framed, we're in the same
crib, man.
So him there is not here. He's in no shields. Don't do that, Grim. Grim, pack it in, man. Stop poking me in the...
Well, lovely to see you, Ian. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Borthwick.
And a few others. We've had 4 or 5, haven't we?
Andrew Borthwick's hung out there for the last 2 hours.
We'll give him a high five.
Give him a gazoo. Give him a gazoo.
We'll give him a... He's the main man. He's the main man. So can we just... Oh, we'll get the spruce in. The spur. The spruce. Douglas, that's it. Sorry,
how many more times?
Douglas. And next week, taint measurements, please.
So we're
Yes,
getting
no cheating.
Why don't you go into the logging business?
You could do.
I couldn't bear to chop them down.
Couldn't bear to chop them
Well,
down.
you've already killed that one.
That's true.
I asked it nicely.
Did you? Long
I mean,
bowlers.
Yeah.
You can't revitalise that bit, can you?
Well, no. But I did ask it nicely. I didn't just go and walk up to it and rip it off. I said, you know, can I take a bit of that so that I can take it away and identify it?
Could you generally go just for a bit of a walk around your general estate and like pull few of these little nippers up and just take them home?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they grow free range out of naturalness, wind dispersal and all that. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, no one around here buys a Christmas tree. You just go out with a saw and cut one down.
You could always just ask the nice guys from the Forestry Commission just to give you some.
Well, they do. Yeah.
Anyway, so can I just say thank you to Jay for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Jay, for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Ian, for showing your spruce.
Thank you, Mr. Borthwick. It was burning. Graham, stop winding Ian up.
Yeah.
Narcissistic. What does that say, bastard?
Whatever. Whatever. Apparently, I was rude. No, not that I would ever be rude to anybody.
And the last comment was 20.4. I've no idea what that meant. 20.4. Hey.
20.4.
20.4.
So I'm going to play out with a bit of tune to get my band a few tunes.
I know you're lying now.
And,
nobody has 20.4.
Well, good night, Mr. Borthwick.
So thanks very much to everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll for the Magnificent Seven.
And
we need a name for next week.
Tell Mr. Lewis to come and join us.
I would love him to. I have said it to him before. He said he had some problem getting on D Live because he always appears on YouTube.
No, but to come on, we do it through a different link. It's got nothing to do with D Live.
You meant on the show.
On the show.
You meant come on the show.
Join us on camera on the show.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's done through a different link. That's got nothing to do with D Live. We can send a link. You can send a link or whatever. Or Eric. Eric.
We can send a link.
He can send a link, and all he does is he clicks on it, puts his name in, and he comes on camera like us. That's it.
Right. Well, if you send me that link then, Eric, and I'll send it to him, and we can have him on.
Oh, I can't just send links willy nilly.
Oh man, we've got to talk to Alan. We haven't seen him in 30 years.
But Ian,
he's not just anybody.
Ian, you've already got the open link.
What?
You've already got the link because it's the one you use.
You've already got the link, Ian, because it's the one you use.
Right.
Ian, you've already got the link. Ian, I'm connecting with just you and I. You've already got the link, Ian. You use it to get on the show every week.
Right, no worries.
Working with
Geordie as well.
Forbes. So do you know that link that you come on the show and I let you on? That's the same.
Right.
Okay, so you send that to Alan.
Can you look at the camera when you talk? Because it looks a bit odd when you look at the camera. Not that's it. No.
So you send that to Alan after you've had a maybe conversation. Said, "Come and join us."
But we normally get guests on at 8:30. We've done our bit. We've led in with Kenny and at 8:30 they ring up, and then I go, "Oh, somebody in the waiting room," and I put them in the green room. Don't you start yawning on my show? Well, this is our show. It's not my show, but you get the idea. Anyway. If you're new to the show, please subscribe. Think about subscribing. Don't forget to smash
that bell and ding that ding. Ding that ding and smash that bell.
Or thumbs down if you think his show is shite. And if you're on D Live, you've got to follow. Got to follow. Next week, I'll have some graphics that will pop up and give you all that instructions.
And always remember, you have to work out where the camera is.
And you've got to connect with the camera. You've got to look right down the lens and connect with your audience, which is so important. So can I just say, thank you, audience. Thank you to these two.
Thank you for the fern introduction.
And thank you ever so much for tonight's show. And we're gonna play out with the usual play in, and we'll And we'll see you next time. But we're going to come up with a name for the next show. Oh.
Hello.
Mr. Borthwick is trying to join us. Too late, Mr. Borthwick. The show is ended.
Good night, gents.
Good night.
Hello, gentlemen.
Catch you later.
Bye for now.